All right, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Live on the 10 Horse Monty YouTube channel. And it's good to have everybody on here. I needed this. I was talking to Frank and before we went live, and man, it's been crazy, dude. The post office, anybody that's out there delivering any kind of packages or any kind of stuff right now is just absolutely bonkers. It's been like 11, 12-hour days, and I needed to relax. I need to sit down this evening and talk fishing with one of my great friends, man, from back in the day, dude. It's cool to have you on here, Frank.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, we grew up like 3 houses away. 2 houses. We had Maxine in between.
We had Maxine in between us. That's right.
Yeah, Maxine was like, she was a lady, this older lady, and if you kicked the ball, you kicked the ball in her yard, she would come out and snatch it.
It was like Sandlot.
Dude, yeah. she would snatch the ball and like, you guys seem to be playing ball in the street. We're like going, where else we're gonna play at, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. She was a trip.
We're just kids kicking the ball in the street.
Well, hold on. What did you guys do to Maxine though to cause this?
Nothing, dude. We'd be playing like catch with a football in the street, kicking the ball, throwing a baseball or something like that, and she would like. It was like she was like a pit bull just waiting for that ball to bounce off the curb and hit her yard. And once it did, it was on.
She just had a hatred for children.
She did. I think she did. I honestly, well, at least for me and Gabe.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one time she had a driveway and a sliding glass door, and she'd run out of the sliding glass door down the driveway and snatch these balls up. And one day I had some big cojones one day, and I like actually slid the glass door open and looked inside of there. There was like 5 or 6 footballs, like 3 basketballs, a couple soccer balls, a couple frisbees, yard darts.
Did you go try to steal one?
No, I wanted to see what was in there.
Frank goes, hell no.
Dude, well, I mean, she was like literally it's the house between us both. And like, so I'd be playing with the dog or something like that, and the ball would go in her yard. Yeah, it was gone. Yeah, so you either bought a 20-pack of tennis balls or your dog wasn't playing that day.
Yeah. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, on my end, I got a little bit of some audio stuff, a little bit of just static. Are you guys hearing that out there, or what's the audio sounding like on your end? Let me know in the comments section. Yeah, it's kind of like, it reminds me of what is it? Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where they had the island of the misfit toys or something.
That's what it was.
She had all the misfit toys in her house. It's crazy, man.
Pretty much that was it, man. She was a little different. She was just a little different. She was nice, once you got to know her, but man, it took a while to get to know her, because she'd pull that car in and just head right in there, and she'd sit like in that little room with all the balls. I don't know if she's just sitting there just looking at them like going, I wish one of these kids would come in here.
I wish you would.
I wish you would. I'm serious, man. She was a bear sometimes. It was Mom used to always tell me, just she's a little old lady, so be nice to her. So we tried, but do you remember the dude? She called the cops on us. Remember, the cops came on us.
Yeah.
Cops came driving down the street because we were playing catch in the yard or in the street. And it wasn't like we were playing on the highway. I mean, it was like, if you didn't live down there, there was no need for you to go down there. It wasn't like, it was busy or anything. So
yeah. I mean, this was like a very low traveled subdivision, and we were we weren't a through area. You had to go if you went past our house, you went down the hill and then you turned left and went out of the subdivision. It wasn't like a thoroughfare area. It was like a place that you would want to grow up as a kid and kick the ball around. It was safe, and she's kind of like the lady that was waiting for somebody to step in her yard or step on her grass, and she was going to come out there and yell at them. But yeah,
you broke my grass blades. I seen you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Frank, do me a favor.
Yes,
see if you can close out that link, like just close it off, close out of the show, and then click back in on the link. I'm going to see if that fixes your static, because we got a little bit of static on the other end. I just want to see if that fixes it real quick. So while he's doing that, I just wanted to remind you guys, Baitworks. check out Baitworks and their Fishmas sale. They've had like the 12 days of Fishmas. They've had some ridiculous
killer deals.
They've seriously, guys, go check them out. They've had a bunch of really good deals, like buy 2 spinnerbaits, get 3 spinnerbaits free. Buy 2 packs of Zoom plastics, get 2 packs free. There's like a square bill deal. There's a rig deal, like buy a couple a rigs, get a couple a rigs free.
I didn't look. Are those continuing to run, or is it just one day only?
I don't know, but I know the ones that they did the first couple of days, they were still live unless they sold out. Some of the stuff's been sold out, but if you guys are looking for some, well, I mean, we all use this stuff, so this is a really good time to go check out Baitworks, and you can use the code THM10 to get you 10% off your order. I don't think it works with those Fishmas deals, but anything else on the side, it should work for. And that's just a great way to save you guys some money and a great way to support the channel. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually place an order, but I'm definitely going to stock up on that because I think they had KVD 1.5s and
yeah, it wasn't trash.
No,
it was stuff that I use.
They had frogs. Did you see the buy a couple frogs, get a couple? They had Spro frogs. They had the Bronze Eye 60 popping frogs. Like, good stuff, man.
I spent a lot of money this Christmas.
Yeah, I've been really good.
I've
been really good.
And this isn't not on tackle. It's been just yeah.
I hooked the wife up for sure. I took care of her.
They're definitely gonna have a good Christmas this year.
How's that?
That is so much better.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds better. Sometimes it gets all funky like that, just the way it is.
Well, you know, I've got I had to have the computer expert come in.
The IT professional?
Yes.
That's right. IT professional. That's what she is.
Everybody needs an IT professional in the household for sure.
Yeah. If I mess up, she goes, "You're an idiot."
It sounds good now. Sounds really good. So where you at, man? Where you?
I'm in Mountain Home, man. Mountain Home.
Okay.
Mountain Home, Arkansas. Love it. I love it. And people are really, really nice. Everybody that we've met and talked to, heck, man, I'm so used to going to, like, we went to Lowe's, you know, first couple of days here, had to get some stuff, you know, to do whatever, and went to Lowe's, and the guy actually helped me, like, walked me to where I needed to be. Usually I'm just like, I'm waiting for the guy going, it's over there in aisle 75. Like,
he took you there?
75 aisles.
But you must be going to a lot nicer Lowe's than we do, because usually it's like you walk in, you look, you make eye contact with them, and they sprint in the opposite direction.
That's exactly right.
I just need to know where this box of screws is at, man. Come on.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm used to. So when getting here and everybody's so nice, that's what it's like. I'm just like going, well, wait a minute. I told Jen, she asked me how I like it so far, and I was like, I think we joined the cult. I was like, there's just people who are just so nice. So,
well, God forbid you wear the wrong color shirt when you go into Lowe's or Home Depot or any of those, and somebody tracks you down and runs you down. It's like, hey, can you help me? It's like, I don't work here. I just wore the wrong color shirt today.
That's right. That's exactly right. But everybody's been really nice. We really like it. Small town, so close to water, most important.
Heck yeah. I've had that happen to me before at Walmart. Somebody thought I worked at Walmart for some reason. I don't know why. They came up and asked me where the chicken noodle soup was or something.
Did you help them?
Yeah, but I just knew where it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think it's a couple hours over. It wasn't because I had any experience working at Walmart, but and I've had the somebody that's, I'm like 6'2". I've had somebody that's 5'2" ask me to get something up off the top shelf for them, you know, and that's happened like 3 or 4 times. They're like, hey, can you get that whatever stovetop stuffing up there? And of course I help them out. I don't have a problem with that. And I thought about asking the same person if they could get that, you know, bag of potato chips down there on the lower aisle for me, because I can't reach it.
Or you could just say, yeah, I sure can get that, and just walk away.
Just walk away. Yeah.
You watching Monday Night Football?
I was. I think it is behind me. Well, I am watching it.
Yeah. Got eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah, I can see it just right there at the corner. So I'm just like going, all right, what's going on over there? What's going on over there?
Did anybody watch the World Cup final at all?
I didn't.
I did a little bit, man. I did a little bit, but then I fell asleep. So
yeah, I just turned it on with about 10 minutes left in the second half, and it was tied up 2-2. And then Argentina scored, so it went 3-2. And usually soccer, there's not a lot of goals scored.
No.
So if you've got just a few minutes left in the game and you've got a 1 point lead or 1 goal lead,
Yeah,
you're usually good to go. You just play defense. But something weird happened in the penalty box. There was a handball or something by France. I don't even know exactly how it happened. It happened, and then they didn't really talk about it much. And so they had a penalty kick, and they tied it up, and then they went through the overtime and went to the penalty kicks. That was I think there was 2 overtimes. So this happened in 2 overtimes.
Wow.
And it was a super exciting game. It was the way a World Cup should be, in my opinion, on the final game.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
I like soccer, man. I grew up playing soccer. It's a lot of people don't like soccer. They like football, or, I had to deal with that all through high school. People making fun of soccer. But
I like soccer. We played, when we first moved to Cape, me and Shannon actually played Optimus Soccer there in Cape. And it was my first time ever playing soccer, and felt bad because, it was like co-ed. And here comes this girl running down the thing, and I'm going to blast this ball. And, of course, I'm trying to kick it over her head. I did not make it. I kicked it right in her face. Yeah, I was like going, maybe soccer isn't for me. Yeah, so mom told me, she's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. I was like, well, what do you do? I mean, I'm not good enough to go around them, so I just figured I don't know, just go around kicking kids with soccer balls. I don't know.
You can't kick your sister in the head. No, it's just we can't do that, Frank. We just can't do that. Okay,
dude. I'll tell you, I got a great soccer story for you. So when we first moved to Missouri, we were living in Cape at first, and me and Shannon were playing soccer in the house, which is, any kids that are watching this, don't do that ever. That is a no-no.
You don't recommend it.
No, we broke a window, dude. We broke a window, and it was back in the day when we had like the big floor TV. So we just moved that to the window. And then when mom came home, we're just sitting there just watching TV. And of course, by chance, the wind starts blowing, and it's just blowing the curtain. Mom's like, is that window broken? I was like, what? The window's broken?
Yeah. How'd that happen?
And there's not a shard of glass anywhere because you guys cleaned it up, right?
That's right. We did, man. We had, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 hours before mom came home from work, and we were just trying to get every piece of glass up. And of course, mom comes home, the whole living room is changed around,
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, we kicked out the window on accident. What happened? I just, playing soccer in the house. So
I fell.
So yeah, that's when I joined soccer and kicked the, girl in the face with the ball. So
you were 0 for 2 real fast in your soccer career.
I was terrible at soccer. I was terrible at it. Breaking windows and kicking kids in the face.
Yeah, the stuff we did as kids, and
oh my gosh,
we always think we're so smart. We're just. I remember sneaking out all the time, and
oh yeah,
I just had this conversation a couple weeks ago with my mom. And one time she saw me sneaking out, and she just locked all the doors. I went out the basement door, I unlocked it.
Yep.
The basement door. Well, she went down there, and locked it. And luckily, my sister always had my back because I could throw like little stones or rocks at her window and just keep doing that until she woke up. And finally, she'd look out the window and she'd come down and let me in. So she had my back several times, but I didn't know that. It's like those stories that you hear later down the road, like 30 years after they happen. Somebody brings them up, and she's like, "Yeah, I knew multiple times I saw you sneak out, and that's why the door was locked." And of course, you're not going to say anything. You're not going to ask her about it because you don't.
Nope.
You're not going to bring it back up.
Yeah, dude. Mom locked me out one night and locked me out of the house. And of course, I didn't want to knock on the door, so I just slept on the wood pile that was like right there before Mom got the garage, right there on the carport. I just slept on the wood pile. I remember Mom looking outside, going,
"Yeah,
crazy, man."
I used to go down. I know guys at home were telling all these old school stories, but this just showing us that we just letting you guys know we grew up right down the street from each other. We got a lot of history together, but we had a little farm. We had it was a city park, and we had the little Litz Park Lake back there.
Yep.
And I used to go down there and catfish all the time, and I'd set out my lanterns and stuff and catfish. Well, I figured out that I could go down there set up a lantern and just leave. And my mom looked down there and she'd see the lantern. She's like, "Oh, Gabe's just down there fishing." Well, I was like on the other side of town. I'd come get my bike and I'd take off and go uptown and just hang out with my homies. And I don't know that she ever figured that out.
What's funny though is I used your lanterns a couple of nights when I'd see him down there. I'd be like going, "Yeah, I'm gonna go down there fishing with Gabe." Okay. Because we had Maxine's house, and then, you could see down there and see the lights. And so I just, she just never came down there, or she did, and she just never told me. So
right.
These kids aren't here. And then when they built the road in there between, I would just have Ed and those guys just come driving down the road, pick me up, I hop in the truck, and we'd go.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a system.
Oh my God.
Dude, I remember this one night. I think I'm almost 100% sure you snuck out. And I didn't know you snuck out, but I snuck out that same night. The same night. It was me, you, Jamie, Dave, everybody. I don't know where we were all going, but none of us met up together. And we all snuck out. Well, you came home. Mom seen you come home. So she saw you come home and thought it was me. But I was maybe 20 minutes behind you. And that's when, and my room was in the basement. So I just take out the plane, the window. Yeah. Push the window in, Mom would put the window back. Well, I didn't know that she didn't know how to catch it. So I pushed the window, the whole window. Dude, I got this thing with windows. So I broke that window. Of course, Mom was sitting downstairs just waiting on me. Waiting on me. And I was just and that's when Mom used to smoke. And all I seen was when that window went in, I'm just kind of sitting there. It's maybe she didn't hear it. And she puffs on that cigarette and that big glow red comes up. I was like, "Oh,
you're busted." Yep.
You're gonna sleep on the wood pile again.
She's like, "I seen you," and I was like, "There's no way you seen me," but she actually saw you, and I was just going, "Dang it, man!"
Sorry about that, man.
That's all right.
That was my fault.
That's all right. Everybody, the whole night. What's funny? The whole night, everybody got busted. Everybody got busted because I had to. I think it was the weekend. I'm pretty sure I was grounded. But then I talked to Jamie on the weekend. He's like, "Yeah, I got busted for sneaking out." And Dave got busted for sneaking out. And I was just like, "Oh, my God." And I knew you were grounded because Mama talked to Sherry. So I was just going, whatever.
Yeah. We're just a bunch of hoodlums running around the neighborhood acting
sounds
crazy.
like it. All you guys were little hoodlums back in the day.
Yeah. It was fun, man.
Dude, do you remember us walking, or we rode our bikes to the quarry? Remember riding our bikes to the quarry? Golly, stupid. It's 40 miles away. Yeah, we can make it. I don't even know how far.
Which quarry did you guys
ride to? That quarry by where the old water slide used to be, kind of where roads is. There's a quarry up the hill.
Private property back there.
Yeah.
It's a really good lake to fish.
Yeah. We got shot at one time there on the way out. Yep. Yeah. We had some fun times.
Did Matthews own it back then, or was it something different?
I don't know who it was. There was an old John boat that sat there. There was only one way to get in. There was this little entryway. It was Bluff Falls all the way around. And you were committed. When you got out in that boat, if somebody came down, they were going to, there's nowhere to go. You can't go up the side of the wall.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. And
you're done. You're done.
Yeah. We got chased out of there a couple times.
I think the guy only let me fish there one time because I think I went there by myself. And I told him, I was like, "Well, dude, I just don't want to walk. I rode my bike all the way down the creek, hide your bike, and just walk up the creek,
Yeah. I don't even know how I found that. Who told you? Did somebody tell you about that or what?
Dude, I think it was me and Jeff Brown. We were just out, just wandering around. We saw that creek, our parents used to drive by that, that road that went over the creek. And I was just like, man, I bet you there's some fish in there. So I was just like, I was bound and determined to take me and my Zebco 33 Classic to go over there. So we rode our bike over there, and we just started going up. We just doing creek running. We just creek running and start going up there. And we get over there, and there was a pig farm, hog farm to the left of it. And then, it was just this pathway. And I remember there was a horse in there. And I was just like, there was this pathway. And I was just like, man, I wonder where that goes. And that's how we found it. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. And then, of course, other people found it, started jumping off the cliffs and everything. So
yeah,
it was fun.
That was fun. Oh, look at there. That's Mom. That's Mom. We're making all this up just for the live stream. This is just this is all about entertainment and stuff. Never on here. Why is she on here tonight when we're talking about all this stuff? That's not fair.
I know, right?
There it is, right
like,
there.
She's trying to find out all the stuff that we done when we were younger.
She still got it. She still knows when we're up to something. She can
I know,
smell it a mile away.
Radar probably went off, and she's like, "What are those boys doing?"
Yep, they're probably telling stories from way back in the day.
That was Williams Creek too.
Was it really?
It's Williams Creek.
Yep.
Had your name written all over it.
That's probably why I went to it. Dude, me and Jeff Brown, I'll never forget, me and Jeff Brown went there one time, and we were just kind of going along, and we stopped, parked our bikes, and we're just like so excited to be there. We're just going to go run and jump in the water. And like right before, it's probably all washed out now, but like there used to be like a little edge there. I jumped off the edge, and I jumped right into a den of snakes. And dude, I was so scared. Dude, I probably never ran so fast in my entire life. I don't think I touched the ground. I think I made it across that creek without touching the water or the ground. But yeah, it scared the crap out of me, man. They just shot out all over the place. And Jeff's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, going, sitting over there panting, done dropped my pole. Just, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, I remember that.
We went to Cape County Park. We rode to Cape County Park even before. That's when they had the peacocks or something there. Are they still got that there?
Yeah, they still have the peacocks. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I remember, and I was getting ready to tell this story. We'll tell one more story or whatever, and then we'll start talking some other fishing stuff. But this is fun. But I remember, and since Mom's on here, she definitely remembers this. That one time when we walked all the way from our house to Cape County Park to go fishing, and the lake.
That's a hell of a walk.
We walked all the way from there.
All the way.
Honest to God truth.
Caught fish.
We caught good catfish. So the park had been closed. I don't even know that it was open yet. The lake had just
it hasn't even
filled.
Been
Yeah, it was stocked, and those fish had just been growing for a couple years, maybe. It wasn't open to the public, and we walked all the way there, and we caught the crap out of catfish. And we walked all the way down Highway 61, the string of catfish on our back. We had wounds, man. We looked like Jesus. We were like just beat. And from catfish barbs, and we just take turns. I mean, I'd carry them for a while, and Frank would carry them for a while.
They had to be dry when you crispy when you got back.
They were like catfish jerky by the time we got back.
Gravel them and everything else, dude.
Yeah, and Mom had called the cops and thought we were missing, and
my gosh,
that was a day.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was good times. Those fish were stupid though. Yeah, they were.
I know,
easy
dude.
to catch.
It was like catching fish in a barrel, dude. It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I wish it was like that now.
Yeah, now it's like you have to actually work at it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually think about it, figure out what you're doing, and all that stuff. So yeah, a lot different game now.
Hold on, we might have to hear one more story.
This might be just story hour.
I want to hear the story about Frank snorkeling.
Oh, I'm not telling that story, Bill. I'm not going to tell that story.
I don't blame you.
I'm pretty sure my wife is cracking up right now about that story. She knows we were on vacation, and that's a terrible. Do you
know the story?
I don't know the story. You'll have to tell me.
No, you don't know the story. It's a terrible story, man.
You have to tell me off stage.
Yeah, that's a terrible story.
Kind of want to hear it now.
Yeah.
It is bad. It is. I'll tell the story, but I'm going to leave some parts out. How about that? And you guys.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Slim down version.
It's going to be a very slim down version. So we went. Jen surprised me. Look at him, come on, because he knows the story.
Peer pressure.
Bring it.
So Jen surprised me. We went to on vacation, went to Mexico, and did the whole thing or whatever. Well, there's this one trip where they took us in a boat, took us to this island, cooked for us, and we got to snorkel. Okay, so we're just snorkeling, having a pretty good time, and I got my GoPro. I'm GoProing. I'm just swimming along, and Jen's over there in the corner or over there the other side, and I swim over to her, and I just feel like something's off. Just something is off with this snorkeling thing, and I'm just like, man, I just feel like something's off. So I swim up to Jen, and she's like, said, what's wrong? I go, I don't know. I said, the water feels weird or something. Well, she looks down. I've been GoPro on this whole time. She looks down and she goes, you know why it feels weird, Frank? I go, why? She goes, well, your junk is out. So,
Nature boy.
dude, I've been videotaping and everything. Sure crap. And videotape the whole thing. Swimming around the whole time with all these people, my junk's out.
Yep. Hey, you're lucky you didn't get attacked by a fish or a shark or something.
I'm just snorkeling around.
Yeah.
Like,
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. There you go, Bill. There's your story.
There. Thanks a lot, Bill. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Oh, God.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
So I'm pretty sure that everybody that was, that we were there on the trip with, yeah, we got rid of those swim trunks, by the way, because the Velcro thing didn't hold anymore. So
yeah, we got a bunch of safety pins.
I just never went snorkeling for the rest of the day. It's what happened. Never got back in the water.
Just set up.
It's
on
better
the beach
than
and
being
drink.
like laying out on the beach and discovering. At least you're in the water.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
Phil says, Frank, watch out for suckers. Posthumous.
That's crazy.
That was awesome.
So let's dive into like your story, because you got a super interesting story, and I know we've been telling like stories from back in the days, but this story is a lot more recent. I remember I think it was last year when you were texting me and you were like, dude, I got to talk to you about something. And then you came to the house, knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and we sat out on the front porch and talked for like an hour and a half. And you told me this crazy like dream story, and my mouth was just on the ground. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So you had an opportunity to kind of chase your dreams last year, and you were working as an EMT right in St. Louis. And then you kind of just decided to go all in on it. And
I just decided, things that happened in our life, quick backstory. And our youngest son had passed away, and we decided that at that point we're like, what do we want to do? And so I sat and we talked to Jen, and we talked for many, many nights, many, many hours. And then she said, well, this is what we have to do. So we sold our house, sold my truck, did everything. I mean, just sold everything. I mean, like, it was crazy. I sold my boat to my friend now, Nick, basically at the yard. So I was getting the boat ready to, and he happened to be driving down the street and saw the boat for sale. He was actually coming. We weren't even open yet. Like, Jenny's mom and dad were there. We're just now putting stuff out. Here's this guy just driving down the street because we had construction on the street. And he's just like, are you selling that boat? I was like, I ain't even got a for sale sign on it yet. I'm just like, yep. He's like, what you want for it? Told me he's going to Alaska. And I'm like, you're going to Alaska? He's like, yeah. I didn't think I'd ever see that guy again. Comes back from Alaska and bought the boat. I was just like, yeah. I sent me pictures of fish, and I was like, all right, well, this guy's really in Alaska. Comes back, buys the boat. And so after that, we, sold everything. And like I said, I mean, we, to the point where, like you're working on something in the house, you got that little bitty butter dish of
Nick.
Yep, that's Nick right there. And had that little bitty thing of nuts and bolts and a butter dish. We sold that. I mean, we sold everything. I mean, seriously, I didn't think anybody was going to buy that. He's like, how much is that? It's like, oh, $2. All right, take the whole thing. Here's your butter dish full of whatever's in here, bud.
You never know. You never know when you're going to need some spare nuts and bolts. So backstory, even before that, you fished a couple seasons of BFLs, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Illini division and some other ones, maybe. I can't remember which divisions you fished.
Yeah, I fished the first one I fished was in 2013, and I went out there. My very first one was with Justin Swast on Lake of the Ozarks, and I got out there, dude, and I was green. I mean, we fished all our lives, but it's like, being in that setting, I wasn't too sure, what to do, And I get out there and I see these guys with Rangers and every single type of boat and every single type of electronics. And I felt like I just came out there with a Zebco 33 Classic and four hula poppers, And I was nervous. And so I ended up, I quit that year because I was just like, I don't think I can compete with these guys. And the next year in 2014, I got paired with a guy, Scotty the Lines, on a Table Rock. And that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because he literally took me underneath his wing and just basically, instead of me throwing over to a spot and catching a fish, he would pose the question, why was that fish there? Instead of just going, hey man, throw over there, there's fish over there. He's like, why that fish was there? And, broke it down to me like that. And then I think it was 2014, I get a phone call from a Gabe Montgomery, tells me he won on Kentucky Lake. And I was like, I looked at Jen, I was like, Gabe won on Kentucky Lake. And literally the very next weekend, I won on Wren Lake.
Yeah, Wren. That was 2015.
2015, yeah, which was actually pretty cool, because when I won there, I got to fish with a whole bunch of, I got to fish with Billy, and
so that's that trophy right there.
Billy Walker. There you go. I got to fish with Billy Walker, and when I won that tournament, one of the first guys that come up and shook my hand was my guy one of my best friends now, Eugene Kim, and met him and his wife, and then of course here we are to this day. Still, they're coming up here for Christmas and stuff, so we're pretty excited. And
shout out to Eugene.
Yeah, I did a lot of BFLs. Just doing the back of the boat and learning, just learning a lot. Yeah,
I remember that. Obviously, I remember that tournament win, and it was crazy because we grew up in Jackson, and 2 houses away.
Yep.
I win a BFL, and the next week you win a BFL. I just thought that was like the whatever you want to call it. That was very interesting.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen.
It was supposed to happen, right?
That was with Arby, correct?
That was with Arby. Yep.
4 fish.
4 fish for.
I look at his bag and he says, "I got like 10 pounds." And I said, "You got like 16 pounds, but okay." He only had 4 fish, and he's like, "I only got like 10 or 11 pounds." I'm like, "Yeah, you got more than that, but you got 4 pounders."
Yeah, they always weigh light, or that they always look light to me for whatever reason. I'm always just like Lake of the Ozarks. We fished the Anglers in Action Marie's Memorial Bass Challenge with my buddy Mike a couple weeks ago, and I thought we had maybe 10 pounds. We had 5 fish, but they just didn't. They were just regular keepers. The last fish that I caught, it was the biggest fish, and it was maybe close to 3 pounds, but they weighed 1161. So I was a pound and a half off. And it seems like I've always been, I guess that's better than big eyeing them,
Yeah.
I'd rather be light than
oh, absolutely. It's better to be surprised than disappointed, but yeah.
I got 25 pounds with 2 fish.
You're right. They're 15 and a half inches apiece. Yeah. So going back to just recently, like last year, you said you sold all your stuff. Why did you sell all your stuff? Why did you sell your stuff?
Once we sold everything, then we went to, I did all 9 tournaments of the Bassmaster Opens. So that was our big plan, was to, a lot of the lakes, I never fished Oneida, Chesapeake, and any of the lakes, James River, Santee Cooper. I never fished any of those lakes. So, just getting out there and getting the experience and, catching big smallies and just all that stuff. And I was just like just doing the centrals and, the southerns and stuff like that. I'd done those before, but I'd never fished up north. And I was like, if I'm going to make this jump, from co-angler to the, the pro side, I wanted to make sure that I kind of knew what to expect, it's always going to change every time, but it's like, I really want to know what was out there and how to catch fish and to learn. Just about every boater I had, honestly, every boater I had, I always learned something from them. So, but yeah, doing all 9 of those, that was as a co-angler, that's I I definitely see what the pros go through. And I was just doing it as a co-angler. And I was just like, half the time I didn't even know where I was going. I literally didn't. I'd look at Jen and be like, seriously, she can tell you, I'd be in the truck driving to wherever I'm going, and I'd look over and go, where are we going? And she'd tell him like going, oh, okay. So yeah, did all 9 of them. A lot of fun. Met a lot of great people. I met it's funny because like fishing like that, you always, you get your pro or whoever it's going to be, but I always found that a lot. I found it enjoyable sometimes, like when I wasn't fishing in the tournament, meeting the people around like the campgrounds that we're at and stuff like that. Like, dude, I went and fished one day and we were in Coleman, I think it was Texas. I think we're in Texas. And I was standing there fishing, at the bank. This guy pulls up in a Crestliner. I'm sitting there talking to him, blah, 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 blah. Literally, I got on his boat from talking to him right there, and we went out and fished that day. Literally that day. I literally talked to the guy, and Kenneth Pete, and I literally got on his boat. I fished with him. I fished with the Master Chief. I fished with a guy in Tennessee, Jason Kraft. I mean, and it was funny because my practice partner to this day always tells me, it's like, Frank can't go to any campground without knowing somebody, and that's the way it was the whole year. I'd go to a campground, I'd see somebody with a boat, I just go over and start talking to him. He's like, well, you fish? It's like, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Dude, we were in Kissimmee, Florida. I was talking to a guy, and I was standing on the bank, and he was just sitting out there. As he catching them, he's like, I caught a few, blah, blah, blah. Kind of talked to him for a minute. He's like, you want to go fishing? Called my wife, said, this is where I'm going to be at. Got on the boat, went fish with that guy.
That's awesome.
It was funny. Jen's always like, you're getting yourself killed one of these days.
Yeah.
It's like going, well, I mean, I've been lucky, knock on wood, that everybody that I've met has been just awesome. I mean, I've really had a lot of fun. Last year was awesome. It was just awesome, man. I got to see a lot of the countryside and fish a lot of different lakes, catch some fish, miss some fish, cuss some fish, So.
Yeah. Shout out to Up North Bassin. So can we give it a shout out? So there's a shout out. Corey Weaver Outdoors. I'm sure you know that name. I remember seeing Frank at multiple events, but never got a chance to meet him in the chaos. So wishing you the best.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. Like just all the guys that I've met and got to fish with, over the years, that I'm still in contact with, and I got to fish with, many different people, and they all stand out, and I got to fish with Andrew Upshaw, and I had a lot of fun with him. I actually got to film him, on a couple of his YouTube things. So and it was just it was actually cool to sit there and not fish and actually just watch him go to work. You know what I mean? And he did one where it was just all he did was light line. I think the heaviest line that he had was 6-pound test, and he's bringing in giants. Giants.
Wow.
And dude, it was amazing just to watch. And I'm just sitting back there, and he'd have to tell me, hey, move the camera up, because I'm just sitting back there like, like, I don't know, somebody watching like Michael Jordan or something. I'm just like sitting there just going, oh yeah, I'm filming.
Yeah. That's cool. So have you had is there somebody that you fish with that stands out that was just like a precise caster where you're like, man, this guy's really putting it in? Like
Seiji Kato. I got to fish with Seiji Kato from Jackal. And dude, I'm telling you, when you talk about precise, like I got to fish with him the first time on Smith Lake in Alabama. And there was this overhang, and it was this just big, huge brush of overhang. And dude, I'm serious. It was probably about that big, about head wide, and we were pretty far away from it. And I watched him skip a little soft plastic underneath there, and I thought to myself, "Oh, that's pretty good," But then he did it like 10 more times in the exact same spot.
Really?
Wow.
And dude, I've never I've never seen anybody cast, like still to this day, I've never seen anybody cast that precise. I mean, just like extremely well. Like I was just like, there was a couple times when like when I got to practice with him, that I would just watch him cast. I mean, just skip underneath a dock and you could hear it. You know, the dock is like a massive dock and you could hear it hit the back. And I'm just like going, and then he would look at me and tell me that he's fishing with like 8 to 6 pound test, or, you know, 6.5 test, which I didn't even know that they had at the time, or 2.3. And like on Smith Lake, he had caught this big old spot. And he's sitting there working, and I'm just like, I'm just, you know, I'm just watching, you know, I'm still fishing, but I'm watching it. He's like, oh, and I go, what's wrong? He goes, 4 pound test. And I'm like 4 pound, and he pulls up this fish, and it's like a 5 pound spot. And I'm just like going, and that was, you know, besides Andrew, but I would never do it. I'm just like going, because man, I'm horsing like I'm trying to pull up an old shoe or something out of the water. You know, I was like going, I break my line the first hook set. I'd be just sitting there tying line all day. So, yeah, but he was very precise. One thing I noticed about the Japanese anglers is they're extremely precise on and very detailed on what they do, you know. So just being in the boat and being able to watch him do that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, they have like a system, like when they're fishing a technique, everything is part of the system, and it's super like intricate, and it all has to be obviously if you're fishing 4 pound test, you better have your stuff like set up to handle 4 pound test, or you're just going to be breaking it, you know.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, he was also the first angler that, and I probably told you the story, but probably one of the first anglers. So when we were on Smith Lake, I'll never forget this. We kind of, you know, this is my first time being on Smith Lake, and we go. If you've ever been on Smith Lake, it's windy, man. I mean, it's just windy and it's like a snake on crack. I don't know. It's just windy as hell. So anyway, so we're going, man, and we go past this point, and we stop and we fish at it, and he breaks off a couple different times, and then we go to this other spot. We went to like 4 or 5 different spots, and all of a sudden, you know, it's funny because every time I picture this, you know, I'm used to it now, but before, you know, like when Seiji was ready to go, he would just look back at you and go, let's go. And that's all you would hear. It's like, let's go. You know, so I'm like going, oh, okay. So when he'd look back at me every time, I'm like going, he's ready to go. But he's so soft-spoken, that, you know, every time he looked back, I'm like, oh, we're leaving? No, we're not leaving. So anyway, so we get to like the 4th or 5th spot. He turns around, and we just start going to, I'm assuming, the next spot. The very next spot. We come around this point, and I look over, and I was like, I seen this dock over here, and I was like, I think this is where we started. You know, I'm like, going, what's going on? I'm like going, I'm thinking to myself, is this all he has? He throws out, catches a fish, and he stops and he looks at me and goes, sometimes you need to start over, not only in fishing, but in life. And I was like, what? Okay, Confucius. I was like going, dude. And from that point right there, we hit every single spot again, and he waxed them. I mean, I was just sitting there just like going, wow. You know, it was just amazing to watch. And of course, my first fish I catch a bass, and then I try to skip, but at that time I wasn't as good as he was. So I had a big old bird's nest, and I just put that pole down and picked up the other one that wasn't a bird's nest, and skipped that underneath something, and I set the hook, man. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a giant. It was a 5 pound catfish. So
yeah.
And he just started laughing at me, and he goes, no more catfish, Frank. Literally, we go to the very next spot. I catch a 7 pound. The first catch, 7 pound catfish. So we became friends since then. So we've been friends ever since then. So, but yeah, he's probably the most precise, most accurate caster I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's man, that's sage advice that he gave you too. That's 100% true. Sometimes it's when you get frustrated, you get spun out. It's better just to pull up your trolling motor and just like go like 5 miles away and start over and just get the heck out of that area.
Do a complete 360. And it was really cool, you know, like I said, just to watch him do that and take a very negative thing that happened and just turn it completely positive, you know, just like he never got spun out. I've never seen him get like angry and spin out or anything like that. He may lose a lure and he'll just go, oh, and that's it. That's it. That's completely it.
Well, I would imagine if you're using 6 pound test and under, you're going to be losing a lot of lure.
Yeah.
So you're probably pretty used to that. Because I know I would lose a dozen a day. I promise.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you got to think though, we fly fish with 5 pound tests quite often.
Yeah.
And very rarely do I break. I don't remember. Very rarely do I break off a fish on a 5 pound test. But we have a 9 foot fly rod.
Yeah, you're not using a heavy action rod and throwing 4 pound.
So if you got the right setup, you can pull. You just got to be patient. You got to take your time. You got to have a good spinning reel with a good drag. You know, like probably a 3000 or 4000 series spinning reel that's got a lot of. It's got the right drag on it because you know if there's a weakness if there's a bad link in the system that fish is going to expose it. And I think once you get all that down and then the hook set, you probably can't jack them. It's probably more of a lean and kind of pull into them. So you got to have probably lighter wire hooks to penetrate that fish's mouth and stuff.
And needle sharp.
Yeah. And like I said, man, you know, watching him do that and the next person I see do it many years later is Andrew Upshaw. Never seen anybody else the whole tournaments I fished. He was, and I'm filming him as he's doing it. He's just like, I'm going to do a light line thing. And I was like, okay. And just to watch him do it. So it can be done, but just like you said, Gabe, I mean, you have to have the right setup and you can't horse these fish at all, you know.
All on spinning tackle, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Here's a question from Michael Bradley. He says, what does Frank think about New York? Most people assume we're all city folk.
No, they're not. I mean, it's funny because like I will be that first person to say, I thought they were all city folk. And they're just as country as we are. So I was like going, it was cool. It was cool. It was fun to get up there and fish and dude, it was just Trent Cole fishes there. And Trent Cole is very country, so
it's beautiful too up there. I've been up there one time.
Awesome. It was awesome. It was probably one of my better practices I've ever had.
Yeah. So what's your typical routine for these tournaments? You're traveling? How are you traveling?
Well, then we were traveling. We had a 46.7 foot long camper, a big old toy hauler, triple axle. We had the Taj Mahal of campers. So
wow.
We turned the toy hauler part, since our only toys we had was, you know, my fishing rod. So I built a big old chest and drawers and everything else, and I put that in there. And then I had my rods up above on the bed that was on the Happy Jack that was up there. And dude, so we'd get there, set up the camper, and then I would, you know, if I got there early enough and, you know, and I had access to a boat, I would obviously go out and practice and, you know, just kind of, you know, get the lay of the land, try to figure out what my pro's going to be throwing. And if I could figure that out, and I know that guys used to probably laugh at me. So if I had a boat, what I would do is I'd go find out, you know, what the bite was. And then once I found that bite out, like the next spot that I would go to, I would throw the boat on spot lock and run to the back of the boat and fish from the back of the boat and never throw at the juice and try to catch whatever else was around, because that's the way I'd be fishing anyway.
Huh. That's interesting.
So yeah, and I wouldn't use, like, if they were hitting top water or whopper plopper or something, I would throw something else. You know, the only time I would ever throw what my boater was throwing, or try to only throw what my boater's throwing, when they're jacking 5-6 pounders, but that hasn't happened. So, you know.
Yeah, so you were really trying to simulate the co-angler experience by going to the back of the boat.
Time. Every single solitary time.
Michael Skaggs says Frank is literally one of the humblest people I've ever met. He makes friends everywhere he goes, except maybe a few ER patients. And you get that joke.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I've met some unfriendly people. So yeah.
Comes with the territory.
Oh yeah. There's some it definitely is makes you wonder about humanity sometimes. It definitely
can make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes you would leave and you would sometimes I would leave and you just literally couldn't even believe what happened. You were there, you saw it all, everybody saw it, and you still come home and still, tell your loved ones that you still can't believe that this just happened. There's a saying in the hospital, and it's true. You literally can't make this up. You just couldn't.
Truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
I'll tell you a quick story, and then we can go back to fishing. I'll never forget this. This lady comes in, and she has on this she has just robe. And she comes in, and she's just kind of sitting there talking to me, and I'm just kind of looking at her, and she told me that her pain medication had been stolen. And I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm just like going, first of all, it was just her medication. Just her medication was stolen. And I was like, oh, yeah? And then all of a sudden, this other guy comes in, that's coming in behind her, and I'm looking, and it ends up, with HIPAA, I was just like, hey, do you know this guy? And she's like, oh, yeah, it's my son. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So she's sitting there talking and telling about her medication that's been stolen. And I'm looking at her son thinking, well, I know where it went.
Yeah.
And so he's going on and on and on. And finally, I just asked her, I said, what kind of medication it was? Well, it ended up being pain medication. And I asked her, I said, well, did you call the cops? And she goes, no. Oh, you didn't? She was like, well, I know who did it. This is a true story. She goes, I know who did it. And I said, you do? And she was like, yeah. She goes, raccoons. I go, excuse me?
I was not expecting that.
I go, excuse me? And she goes, yeah, raccoons. I go, hold on a second. So you're trying to tell me that raccoons came in your house, stole your pain medication, and then just scurried off, I imagine. She's like, yeah. I'm like, so let's think about this for a minute. Raccoons came through your front door, went all the way to wherever your medicine cabinet, bathroom is, wherever you keep your medication, was pilfering through your Metamucil, your whatever else you got, your Pepto-Bismol, and found the pain medication and go, aha, this is it. This is what we're looking for. Everybody out. Let's go. So I told her, I said, so you're trying to tell me there's some roofied raccoons running around town that can read?
It seems logical to me.
Yeah, so I just looked at her. I go, all right, just have a seat right over there. We'll get your vitals. So I'm just like going, yeah, I can't make it up, man. That's a true story.
Sometimes you just gotta shake your head and go with the flow, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
Well, tell me more about these raccoons while I check your vitals. Let's just make this night interesting.
If you ever wake up and something's missing that's in your medicine cabinet, look out for the raccoons. They probably got
obviously
probably up in the trees just going.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel called Soft White Belly?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. There's some crazy stuff on there.
Yeah.
Crazy
stuff.
I have. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast today, and they had the guy that does the videos on there.
Oh, really?
That's a really good one. It's he talks about how he finds those people and meets them, and the whole spiel behind his YouTube channel. There's some crazy stuff.
What is this?
It's called Soft White Belly. He interviews drug addicts, prostitutes, gang members, Appalachian hillbillies, just crazy people.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody and anybody.
Like just in person.
Yeah, he brings them into his studio. He's got a studio down on Skid Row in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it's kind of like Howard Stern, like crazy people off the street?
It's more detailed than that,
right?
But yeah, he just brings these people in and gets their story. I didn't know this, but he actually gives them money for being a guest, and so they get some perks for being on the show because he's making money off that. He's got 14-20 million views on some of his videos, but they're interesting. When you get bored one night, check out a couple of those. It'll change the way you think about the world for sure.
Like strung out fishermen people that are just looking for their next
$50,000 in entry fees later. They're on the street doing heroin. There's probably a couple of those on there.
I mean, come on, we're all a little bit of addicts here, aren't we? Like,
fishing the tournaments,
It's like when you go to a tackle store and you just sit there and you just see stuff and you're like, I need that. I may have 20 of them right now, but that one.
The problem is you walked in there not needing anything or not needing that, and all of a sudden now you need it. Like it's the next
that and several other things.
It's the next best drug. I got like the gateways. I got the zooms and the all the soft plastics, the
big bites,
the crankbait. But then all of a sudden you see that $150
Dream Express
bait.
lures, and
it's like, I gotta have it's mine. It's the gateway. It's just a gateway.
Or the same crankbait, but this year they came out with it's got a little blue stripe on it. It's the same exact color. You already got 20, but this one has a little blue stripe on it, and you're like, I gotta have that.
Exactly, man. Yeah. So
it's bad. Let's see here. Okay, here's a question from Corey. I saw Corey. He was on Todd Castledine and Hallman. That was a really good stream. I listened to a lot of that. I saw Corey comment a couple times on there. He says, would you rather fish a tournament that is tough as can be or a smash fest for everyone? So a grinder or a slugfest?
I'd rather fish a grinder. I think I learned more in a grinder than I would a slugfest. I mean, my favorite part about fishing is actually trying to figure it out now. Before it used to be just I just want to catch as many fish as possible. But now it's, I really want to figure a fish out, because that to me is going to help you in the next tournament versus you just go there and you throw a hook out there and you're just catching fish. But, I love I'd rather have a tough tournament and then do well in a tough tournament. Because, man, if you can do well in a tough tournament, I mean, that's like, to me, it's a difference between going to go fish Lake Wapapello or fish Lake of the Ozarks. You know, I mean, that when you go to Lake of the Ozarks, you're bound and determined to catch some big fish. Not saying there's not big fish in Wapapello, but you're going to catch some big ones if you go Lake of the Ozarks. And you could get into just a school of fish where you're just, whacking every cast. But me personally, I'd rather have a tough tournament.
You got to be careful, Frank. The Mr. Lake Wapapello is on here with multiple 30-pound bags.
Yeah, our buddy Doug Cheatham from Auto Trieve. He's
wow.
Wapapello.
He's Mr. 30-pound bag on Wapapello.
Yeah, he's had 28 something and then a 29 something at Wapapello. Yeah, it's growing some fish lately the last couple.
Well, dude, next time I go down there, I'm gonna have to look him up because I can catch maybe 3 fish there.
Yeah,
3 fish for 4.5 pounds.
No, for 2.5 pounds.
For 2.5 pounds.
Yeah,
dude, I had my buddy. I met one. Funny story. I was just talking to Grant today, and we were talking about how we met. I was at Lake Wapapello, family vacation type deal, and here I am going up to I can't remember, it was Barracks Marina then. And here I am going up to the marina. There's this guy and his dad walking down, and we kind of sit there and start talking. And I said, he goes, man, I can put you on some fish. Literally, I just met him. I was like, okay. And the only thing he said was, your boat or mine? I said, I got my boat. We'll just go on my boat. Literally, I met him the next day, and we went fishing. Seriously.
Where was that at? Wapapello?
Lake Wapapello. Grand
Nice.
Hinton. Yeah.
Did he put you on fish?
Huh? Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did. I will say that. He did put me on fish.
So there's a key that I've been learning. I've been out with Doug several times, and he's a river rat. He stays up there in the river, and navigating the river keeps a lot of people from fishing. It still gets plenty of pressure up there, but your average person that just fishes the lake kind of casually, they get a little bit, they pucker up when they think about having to run up there the river. And that
I did.
Yeah. So that keeps some people from fishing up there. And then not just once you get up there, there's a lot of little side channels and backwaters and creeks and stuff, and you gotta know how to get into those too. So that keeps even more people from doing that stuff. And then there's key places up there. The fish aren't everywhere, just like any other body of water, but they've got 30. He's got like 30 years experience on there, so he knows all those spots. But you can learn so much if you get in a boat with somebody that knows a body of water. They just take you fishing for a day or two, and you just sit back there, like you say, you just sit back there and watch and learn. I mean, it cuts the learning curve down drastically.
Extremely, man. And that's, like I said before, that's probably my favorite thing about fishing. You know, sometimes when you're paired with whoever you're paired with, whether it's a well-named pro or just some guy that's just fishing this tournament because he lives in the area, and just learning stuff from that guy. I always pick up something from each person, and I try to put that into the next tournament or future tournaments or something like that, or just holding in the back of my head. I'm always trying to learn something from somebody, and to me that's a successful fishing trip if I've learned something.
Right.
Well, hey, your invite just got opened up. So
there you go. That's Doug.
There you go.
Yep.
I appreciate it, man.
You'll have a fun time. He makes some really good deer sticks too. Got some cheese and jalapenos in there. They're really good stuff.
See, Russ, I agree with you, but I've never had buyer's remorse. Not when it comes to fishing.
I put stuff back. We talked about this a while back, but sometimes I'll fill up my cart and then I'll start thinking about it, and then I'll start putting some stuff back.
Is that like
it's called adulting,
Well, I hope I never get there, because usually I go in there and I'm just like going, here's this and here's this, and well, maybe I don't need this, and somehow it still finds itself in my cart.
So I have a rule though when I'm going in to buy, like if I go in to buy something, say I'm going to Academy, that's our only local place to go get anything anymore. So I'm going in to get Zoom, whatever, old monsters.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Even though I don't need any because I got 300 packs of them, but I'm going in there to buy a new color, whatever it is. My rule is I won't grab a cart or a basket. So I can only whatever I can carry out.
I like that.
Now, thank God they put like on crankbaits, they're cardboard. Now they got a little plastic on. I can run them down my finger, and I can hold a lot of them on my finger,
like Edward Scissorhands.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got your hoodie. Your hoodie's filled up. You got your hand warmers are filled up.
And then when you have kids, it's even better because like, here, hold this. So that's still I still find ways around it because I'm a little bit of an addict. But
so he's trying to say, like, if you don't have kids with you, then you find other kids there and be like, hey, I'm gonna borrow you.
Hey, you want some candy? Come here, buddy.
It's funny. You leave my son alone.
I got all these baits.
I got a follow up to Corey's question here. I'm gonna bring Corey's question back up. Fishing a smash fest or a grinder. There's one other tournament that nobody ever talks about. And that's one where you're catching fish. Everybody's catching fish, but they're all the same size.
Yes.
So I think you can learn more in that tournament than you can in either of the other tournaments.
Yes.
If every fish is a 5-pounder, then whatever you throw in there, that pre-spawn dream day, when you're out there by yourself, that's a good day. But when you're grinding and you're getting 3 bites a day, it's hard to adjust and know if that adjustment did you good or did you bad.
Right.
But if you're catching fish, at least I know I'm on the right track. If I stop catching fish, I know I went the wrong way. Now I got to go an opposite direction, and you're still learning and trying to catch that quality bite.
Yeah, that day the days when you go out and you get a bite every hour and a half, you don't get enough feedback to figure out a pattern. It's frustrating. Right. You're lost all day long. Next thing you know, the tournament's over and you're scratching your head. It's you got to get some feedback. That's so important.
As a tournament angler, I'd rather fish the tough derby because I'm kind of like you. I think I can figure it out or I can grind it out.
Yeah,
but I like feedback as well.
I think, and Frank, you can probably attest to this, but as a co-angler, we fish a lot of grinders anyway, just being in the back of the boat. Your pro may be catching them pretty good, but you're fishing a grinder out of the back of the boat.
And that's even worse. That's like salt in an open wound when they're catching them and you're not.
It's hard. When they're coaling, That's so hard when you've got nothing in the live well
to watch them turn one
and
away.
your boater has pulled 2 or 3 times, and you're like, can I just like slide you a $20 bill for that fish or something, or throw it down there on my rattle trap and I'll pull up at the same time. And I'll catch it. It's like,
well, hold on. So one of our buddies is watching the stream, and it's the Chris Rock. Like,
what's it say?
For the Gladys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, insert whatever caption you want underneath that, but that's hey man.
I know, dude. I'm telling you, like, you're right though. You're watching your pro throw back a 2-pounder where you have no fish, and you're just sitting there, just like going, seriously, and he's just throwing back 2-pounder after 2-pounder after 2-pounder, and you're just like going. Then once he gets a 3-pounder, he puts that in the box and he keeps throwing 2-pounders, and you're just like, oh my gosh, man. You're just like,
and then you weigh in. You weigh in and you're 1 pound out of a check, or or if it's a super tournament or something, you come in with 2 fish and you're 15 ounces away from making the day 2 cut, and your boater cold like 5 times.
Yeah.
It's like, but to the boater's defense, who's to say that he doesn't make those casts and he lets you cast up there and all of a sudden you catch a 6 or 7 pounder.
Oh yeah.
That he really, really needed. And I've heard a bunch of boaters say that in the past. One time I felt sorry for my co-angler and I said, hey, pitch up there in that brush pile. He pitches up in there and he catches a 6-pounder. And, I lost the tournament by 2 pounds and I could have called up.
So I've had that happen once or twice. Once for sure. I can remember Kentucky Lake. It was, I'm not even going to say who I was fishing with. But I fished with him. Another buddy of ours had fished with him. And I think another buddy of mine had fished with him. And every one of us kind of rehashed, and it was 3 years in a row. And he made the same milk run.
Was he a flipper?
Yes, he is a flipper.
I know who it is. And
like, he knew where his fish were at. We were fishing stake beds.
Right.
He'd flip. He's like, hey, I'll let you have this next one up here. I flipped in there. I mean, I picked it apart as best I could. Never got a bump out of it. Go to the next one, and he catches like a 4.5. Oh. So that gives you a little bit of hope, right?
Yeah.
Hope and a dream. Well, I talked to my buddy. He's like, did the exact same thing to me. Where was it at? And I was like, it was in the back of such and such. He's like, same freaking stake bed that he let me flip on, and I didn't get a bite off of it. He said that's his run. He'll stop there and he'll let you fish, make you feel good about it, and then keep on going.
Just throwing you a little bone.
Oh yeah, giving you a little something to make you feel good about your day.
Yeah.
So that's got to be hard. We've all been there, all sat there and just watched those guys throw those fish back or flipped, and just you flip in one spot and he flips 3 inches from you and he pulls the fish out and you're like, seriously?
Yeah. And a grinder tournament is one thing that it will teach you is how to keep your head in the game, because you're not getting a lot of bites. And if you're not totally focused, when you do get that bite, you miss it because you're not paying attention. It may be another 2 hours before you get another bite. So the more I've been fishing out of the back of the boat and in BFLs and things, I've learned to not get spun out and to really focus, because typically, even on a super, super tough day, you'll get a bite or two, usually, not always, but usually, and it may not be a keeper, but what I'm getting at is if you're not focused and you get that bite and you blow it, you may not get another bite the rest of the tournament. So it teaches you to really stay focused regardless of what the conditions are and not get spun out. I mean, I remember back in when I first started those tournaments, fishing the BFLs several years ago, there were days where, you when you start the tournament, you're all fired up, you're jacked up, you're ready to go out there and smash them. And a lot of times you don't get that bite early in the morning for whatever reason. Sometimes it happens, but it doesn't always happen. A lot of times it's tough, like right from the beginning. Yep. And after that first couple hours, your adrenaline's calmed down, and then you can start wandering and thinking about other things. You're thinking about, I got to mow the yard when I get back home, or what there's all kinds of things that go in your head. Next thing you know, you're like, was that a bite? Well, I don't know. It's over. It was done. You missed it. You weren't focused. And the more you practice that aspect, you put yourself in those grinder situations and you practice focusing on the task at hand, the more bites you'll get. And maybe you were getting the same bites before, but you weren't focused and you didn't even know you were getting those bites. So that's one thing that a grinder type tournament will teach you about yourself and about fishing.
I tell you one thing that a guy told me one time, and just never really sunk in until several years ago. I was practicing with Gleason, and I asked him one time, I was like, when do you shake your fish off, blah blah blah, and I told him, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm shaking fish off or anything, and and he's just like, he said, next time you get a bite, just hang on to it before you try to shake it off. Just hang on to it, and then see how many bites you get afterwards. And I was like, seriously? He goes, today, don't set. I never set the hook on any fish, not once, and it wasn't even tournament time. I was just fun fishing, and I decided that day I was just gonna throw out as soon as I get a bite, and just see how long I could hold on to it. The longest I ever held on to a fish was 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I just let him swim around. Let's let him swim around. As soon as he dropped it, another one picked it up. And another one picked it up. And I was just like going, you've got to be kidding me. So, like where you're saying, you lose your focus and stuff like that. That was one of the things that literally helped me like focus on the actual bite, instead of like every time I'm feeling a stick, I'm jerking, ripping, half a tree up or something like that, and I would throw out there and just let it sink and start thinking, like other things like I got to mow the grass or I got to do this or I got to do that. And every time I get a bite, I just wouldn't set the hook at all day. That's all. I never caught a fish because I didn't want to, but I was amazed about how many bites that I had versus how many bites that I thought I had, but it definitely makes you focus. That right there made me focus and really understand the bite and what was going on, versus like, of course I'm throwing a crankbait, I'm gonna jack it, but throwing a Zoom monster, swim bait, and I'm sitting there, I'm reeling it, and it's like dink, instead of swinging on it, I'm just like dink and just letting it go. Yeah. And dude, I'm telling you, it's if you ever get a chance to try that, you'll just be like, what?
Yeah, and it shows you that fish a lot of times are swimming in little groups too, 3 or 4 in a wolf pack. I learned that from my buddy Ron up at Mille Lacs a couple of years ago. We were fishing Ned rigs for a little smallmouth out on those reefs, and I'd set the hook, I'd miss one, I'd reel it in, cast it back out there. Yep. And after I did that 3 or 4 times, he's like, man, you're killing me over here, Smalls. He's like, just when you set the hook, let it go back to the bottom and just leave it. And almost every time another fish or that smallmouth would go back and pick it back up. And
I never even thought about that. Like literally exact same. I missed a fish.
Yeah, you want to throw it exactly. But leave it, especially if it's something on the bottom, man. You get that bite, set the hook, because all it does is jump up and it goes right back down. You're getting a fresh cast right there. Yeah. And there's already fish that have kind of shown interest in it, and chances are there's going to be another fish in the area. He's wondering what that fish is doing, and like half the time you're going to get another bite if you just like leave it there.
Oh heck yeah!
Andy got the good hookup. He won the giveaway last week, the Crocodile giveaway. Joey hooks it up, man. She always gives out a great giveaway. Russ says, "What's Frank's favorite lake to fish in Missouri?"
It's about to be Wapapello, but
it could be.
Yeah, I do like fishing Wapapello. It was always fun to fish there. I just never caught a whole bunch of fish, but I always loved going. Probably my favorite lake to fish would probably be Table Rock. Either Table Rock or Lake of the Ozarks. Lake of the Ozarks when it's not busy.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
But yeah, probably Table Rock. I really like Table Rock a lot. Although I don't know, man. I love to fish all the lakes, but if I had to pick one, Stockton, I like Stockton. Not a lot of guys like Stockton. I've done well on Stockton. But probably Table Rock, probably my all-time favorite.
So have you been able, right now you're living in the Mountain Home area in Arkansas, and you were saying you're pretty close to Bull Shows and you're pretty close to North Fork.
23 minutes.
Okay. So have you had a chance to fish both of the lakes a little bit?
I have fished Bull a lot.
Okay.
But I haven't really fished North Fork, and that's what I told my buddy. Actually, I told him, I said that I was going to try to venture over there. Well, it's supposed to be like 2 degrees or something like that, so that'd be a perfect time to go. But no, I'm going to try to venture over there. But Bull Shoals, man, I really like it. It's one of those lakes, Dell, Dell.
Sure.
He told me, he's like, you know, if it's on, boy, it's on. But when it's off, it's off. It's way off.
Yeah.
You know, but I really like bull. It's a lot of fun. There's hardly any boat traffic or anything like that. So that's one thing I really, really like about it. So, but yeah,
it's so peaceful up there. Just no development.
I was talking to my buddy Zastro the other night, or last night actually. I was telling him, I said, him and Phil, like, I remember doing a tournament on Bull Shoals, I think maybe about a year ago, right before we did this whole thing. And it was Memorial Day weekend. There was like, I don't know, 30, 40 boats in it. Cody Huff won, of course.
Right.
And after we got done with the tournament, we started heading back, and we had like maybe 5 miles to go down the lake, or 3 to 5 miles or something like that. I counted 7 boats, and we made 7
on Memorial Day weekend.
On Memorial Day weekend,
I believe it.
7 boats. I was like, and I'll never forget. My buddy Lucas looked at me and goes, "Because you counting boats, ain't you?" And that's pontoon boats and crappie boats that I'm counting, and a bass boat that I was counting. And I was just like going, "This place is amazing." I was like, "It's nice just to go fish and not getting sloshed around, not having somebody come by and, you know, and just just wave you out, and just, I'm just like going, man, this is awesome."
Well, there was 0 fishermen on Lake of the Ozarks on Memorial Day weekend, I promise you.
They were night fishing if they were.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
Golly.
I think, I mean, there you've got to get up at the butt crack of dawn and fish till like 9 maybe.
And then get off
the water.
Yep. Get off. Yeah.
And then when
that's always been, I love Lake of the Ozarks, but it's always been, I don't know, it's just always a scary lake to me. You know, just always has been. Even when I'm fishing it just for fun, it just, I kind of go to my one area and I stay there.
Yeah. Pole Bender's a bull shows.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. Go check out Pole Bender's YouTube channel. She sent a link to me. I can't remember how she had this really cool tip about putting a toothpick in the tail of a finesse worm to make it float up. It was a really cool video.
Really?
Great tip. Really good tip. But yeah, she's on her quite a bit. She fishes off the bank. Maybe has a kayak too. I'm not sure. But she's down there in that neck of the woods. And yeah, that place is I've only been on there once. I jumped in the boat with Del Colvin for a couple of days, and we're gonna make that trip again.
I was gonna say really soon. Would you like feel comfortable taking your John boat down there?
Well, it's so big.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not worried about boat traffic or anything.
Okay.
But just getting from point A to point B. Of course, you can go right across the lake from the Bull Shoals boat dock, and you're fine right there.
Really?
It's so we could. I mean, you know, we could. But Dale keeps sending me all these pictures. He's like, the other day he sent me like 10 pictures, and they were like stripers.
You see that stripers?
Like this big, a bunch of like 4-pound smallies and stuff. And I'm like rubbing it in. He's like, what do you say? He's like, I just want to remind you that you need to get down here really soon. I'm like, okay, I hear you, man.
We've been trying to get that trip scheduled for a little bit though.
Yeah, that one that he caught, dude, was 30 freaking pounds. 30 pounds.
It was a slob. Had a big old belly.
I saw that on Facebook. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Catch them on that ice spoon probably, or that jig and wrap.
Yeah. There
you go. Speaking of the man right there.
There's the man right there.
Who's taking who fishing?
I am going to have to take him fishing. He's done a lot for me, man. He's, like I said, dude, it's crazy because like me and Dell hit it off like right away. And like he showed me like just how to actually fish this lake. You know, he's given me a lot of great tips on trying to fish this lake. And, you know, and it kind of sucks because every time I see him, he's just like catching fish. And I'm just like going, yeah, I had 4. He's like, I had 400. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun too. That's something that we don't get to do around here, that really deep, clear water fishing. When I fished with him, a lot of times we were fishing in, seems like we were like in 110 foot of water sometimes, or 90 foot of water, and you're dropping your bait down 40, 50, 60 foot.
I got some rods that don't have that much line on them.
I know, man. It's pretty cool. Well, he's got plenty of nice. He's got those Virtus rods, and those Virtus rods are sweet. If you guys are looking for a high-end American-made rod, Jewel Virtus rods are pretty killer. If I won the lottery, I had like $5,000 or $6,000, I'd buy a bunch of them. I'd get rid of all my stuff.
How often do you play?
Never. I bought 3. So
Scratchers?
The other day, there's a number 33, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy 3 number 33s. Right? Sounds kind of crafty, like it's like an omen or something.
Right.
Well, the first time nothing, and then 3 days later, I went back and I'm like, give me 3 33s. They're $1 scratch offs.
Right.
I haven't bought a lottery ticket in like a year and a half. For some reason, I was just feeling lucky. So the second batch that I bought, I won a free ticket on one, and I won a free ticket on another. So I'm holding on to the free tickets, and I'm just going to wait for the right moment. I'm going to go back in there and say, give me 2 33s. And
then he's going to get one ticket.
And then I'm going to lose it all.
And he's going to be down another again.
So right now I'm winning, right?
No, you're not. You're still in the hole.
I'm $4 in the hole, but at least I got something. I got those 2.
That's
tickets.
how they get you. That's exactly how they
right.
get you. You buy an old monster worm, you catch a little green fish, you go back to the store, you buy 75 packs of old monster worm.
I'm starting to pattern here.
Oh gosh.
So of all the lakes that you fished, and this is hard, I don't know, this is hard to actually pin one down, but was there a couple lakes that really stood out as being unique? Something that you hadn't really fished before?
Lake Oneida. Lake Oneida was one of them. Ross Barnett, not everybody likes Ross Barnett, but I thought it was okay. James River, but Lake Oneida, hands down. Dude, that was probably one of my best practices. And I know Eugene's probably watching this, and he'll probably say something, but that tournament there, or that practice, like we got up there, I think we were there 2 weeks early or something like that, maybe even 3 weeks early. Anyway, so my buddy Wayne came down and he was fishing. I was practicing with him. And dude, I tell you what, I threw, the baits that I threw was a jackhammer chatterbait, white trailer. And I would just dip just the half of the boot tail. That's it. That's all, a half ounce. That's all I'd fish. Man, that's all I dip. That, a DT6 or DT8, no, it wasn't. It was a DT10. It was a DT10 and a blade bait and a jig. And the jig was the jig that we make from Virgin Tournament Tackle. That was our jig that we made. And I was just like, oh man, I'm waxing them on this. Anyway, so I throw that chatterbait out there, dude. And at first, like, I wasn't getting anything. I wasn't getting one single bite. Well, I just stopped just a little bit, just enough for it just to tip the grass. I mean, and that's it. As soon as I would hit that grass, I just give it just like not a quick jerk, just a slight pull. Best practice I've ever had. And literally during our 8-hour practice period, for about 4 to 5 days straight, I was pulling 20 to 25 pound bags of smallies every day.
Nice.
So Eugene came down and I told him, what I was catching them on and so on and so forth. And him and Wayne, because it was the first time I introduced, him and Wayne together, and I was going to go out with them. So it's, it's not two guys that don't know each other on a boat. There's common ground as me. So I told him, I was like, man, I'm going to take a nap. I was like, I'm taking a nap. It's kind of misty out, and I'm literally laying in the boat, just laying in the co-angler side, just relaxed, all chilled. Water just drizzling all over my body. Water just coming down.
Did you have those same snorkeling shorts on?
Same snorkels. But anyway, so I'm just sitting there, dude. Just I fell asleep for 2.5 hours. Just knowing Eugene and Wayne, I assumed that somebody's going to smack me with a fish or get me wet or something.
Right.
I just assumed that was going to happen. So I was already planning on that. So I wake up and I go, you guys catch anything yet? They're like, no. I go, you throwing that jackhammer? Yeah, we're throwing a little bit. I'm standing in the middle of the boat. I just woke up from a 2.5 hour nap. I brought 2 poles. I picked that one pole up, threw it out there, reeled it, wham, 3.5 pounder. Sat back down, went back to sleep. I go, this
nice.
is what I'm doing.
Yeah. They're not holding their mouth right or something, you know.
Well, apparently he was wearing the right shorts with his junk
That's
hanging
right.
out. That's why he was catching the fish.
Everybody didn't have on the good snorkel gear like I did.
That's right, man. I see a marketing opportunity right there.
I know.
You're not going to get much camera time, though.
Convergent tournament tackle snorkeling shorts. The next best thing out there.
The camera panned to me. It's like, he's got a snorkeling gear. Go back the other way.
It's like, beep. That's good stuff. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, but there was several lakes, but I really like Lake Oneida. I've never fished up there before. Chesapeake was really cool. I really like Chesapeake. I don't know if you guys know, but my buddy Eugene won on Chesapeake, so that was pretty cool.
I saw it, yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome.
So now, I'm assuming you're not pulling the 49 3/4.
No. No, we're actually we just traded ours in. We got let's say this probably wrong. I think it's 34, 35 now. So we'll be pulling that next year.
Okay. Now, do you drag a boat with you as a co-angler or not?
I am going. I didn't, unless it was like, well, last year I didn't. If my buddy Lucas was going to be at the same thing, he literally did.
Free Willie.
Reading these comments. And so if Lucas was going to be up there, then I would sometimes I would literally take my camper, take it to the next spot, my wife and the camper to the next spot, come back, get the boat, and then drive the boat up there. Dang. So all he had to do was just get in his truck, and all his gear was in the boat. So that gave me free range to fish and practice, which really helped me out a lot, like I said. And I know that probably guys had probably seen me. It's like, why does this guy keep running to the back of the boat? Yeah. But I find good spots, man. And I wouldn't fish it. I'm like going, I know that whoever I'm going to get, it doesn't matter who I'm going to get. This is what they're looking for. I mean, this is what they're going to be looking for, or hopefully they're going to be looking for. And I just run the back of the boat and try to catch a keeper back there. If I caught one fish, that was just a keeper, then I was happy. Then I'd move to the next spot.
Question. If you could only have 5 baits to fish over the country in all the 9 opens, what are those 5 baits going to be?
Well, I'm definitely going to have a jig. There's hands down, I'm definitely going to have a jig. I'm definitely going to have a spinnerbait, double willow. And this is any time of the year, right? I can just random.
Yeah, to cover the beginning of the season to the end of the season and all the different.
And you get 5.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like all the different lakes and bodies of water in between. So it's, jig. Jig definitely.
Now, am I fishing the front of the boat or the back of the boat?
Let's do co-angler. Right.
If I'm fishing the back of the boat, I'm definitely going to have a shaky head. I'm definitely going to have a drop shot. I am definitely going to have a jig. Spinnerbait, and some kind of soft plastic, like a wobble head on a soft plastic. That's what I'd have.
Okay. So bottom bouncing, like bottom baits for the most
part. One thing I like about a wobble head is you can swim it. I love because you can throw something tiny on a wobble head, and I've done some damage doing that.
And a jig. You can swim a jig too.
Yep, swim a jig. I love a spinnerbait because I can cover water.
Well, at the end of the day, as a co-angler, having 3 fish is
huge.
Number one goal.
Huge.
Even if it's 3 pounds for 3 fish.
Yeah.
Having 3 fish is a big deal.
Huge.
Yeah, especially if you do that, there's 9 tournaments.
Yeah.
So that maybe that's your toughest tournament, but at least you brought in 3 pounds. That's going to make a huge difference in points.
Well, that could get you from, a 50-point jump just by having 1 extra fish.
Yeah.
1 extra pound of fish, not ounces of fish, but 1 pound of fish.
Yeah, truly, it really, really can. And man, it definitely goes a long way when you're fishing. I mean, like you said, even if I was happy. I always wanted to go out there and catch 3 like everybody else did, but I was happy just to catch a fish and try to catch a fish in every tournament. That was like, obviously you want 3 for both days, but you never know what your boater's going to do, and sometimes you have to make that adjustment. That was always, to me, always the hardest part of being a co-angler. Like, you'll talk to your guy the night before, man, we're going to go out, we're going to fish deep. We're going to go do this, we're going to do this, and so on and so forth. And then you get in there and you're fishing shallow, or you're going to fish shallow and you go out and he fishes deep, and you're kind of making up as you go on the fly. And you guys know as being co-anglers, I mean, it's like you only can bring so many rods,
Right.
So you have to figure out. Everybody talks to rods. Don't even say that you don't. I always tell them, like, who's going to big game today? Are you going? You going? You going? Who's going to game today?
Put me in, coach.
That's right.
What do you put? What do you put on the wobblehead? What do you put on the wobblehead? What's some of your go-to baits for that wobblehead?
On a wobblehead, man, I really like. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna give you just a couple scenarios that's helped me, through. On a wobblehead, I love 100%. If I'm going to throw a wobblehead right now, if I'm going to go to Bull Shoals right now, if I'm going to go Lake of the Ozarks right now, I'm going to put on a missile bait D-bomb. Hands down, it's worked every single spot that I've won. Every single spot.
Full size?
Huh?
Full size?
Yeah, the big one. The big one. Yeah, the big one.
What color? Like a couple colors.
Green pumpkin.
Okay.
And I don't care if it's chocolate milk. I don't care if it's clear. Green pumpkin, green pumpkin, green pumpkin. As a matter of fact, I've got, if we were out in the garage right now, you'd see how many packs of green pumpkin that I have. And it's stupid. Like you said, I go to the store and I'm like, I don't need any green pumpkin, but there's a bag there. I'm going to need that bag.
See, I call that defense. Like you live in a small town that's got one tackle shop, and you just go and buy everything on the shelf. So especially when we came out of COVID, like they weren't getting anything.
No.
Yeah,
I
had a horde of Old Monster Plum because that's all I could catch them on. And every time I found them there, it was like, you know what? Y'all aren't getting them for the weekend. I'm going to take them all.
Yeah, dude, I've thrown Old Monster on a wobblehead. I've thrown a Z-Man. I've thrown just about everything. I mean, it's like even with my shaky head, everybody's throwing, this and this and that. It's funny. I end up throwing on my shaky head. I'll throw a Z-Crawl. That's an excellent bait if you're fishing. To me, if you're fishing bedding fish, you just throw that thing down there on a shaky head, and it's like, what's that? Like, yeah, you know what that is. And so I've thrown that on there. I've thrown a Berkeley Critter Hog on a shaky. Dude, me and my buddy Ernie went to Lake of the Ozarks, and I was throwing a Critter Hog, and he was throwing a regular shaky head, and he goes, "What are you throwing?" I said, "Critter Hog, man. Critter Hog." And he's like, "What?" I said, a Berkeley Maxent Power Bait Critter Hog. And green pumpkin and watermelon red. Yeah, dude. And I couldn't keep them off of it because it's something they don't see all the time. Everybody throws a traditional, everything on, just straight tail on a shaky head.
Yep.
That's why I always looked at it like this. When I was doing co-angler, I always want to throw something that they hadn't seen before. It may be the same shaky head, but it's something different on there that they haven't seen. They're just like, oh, that's falling a little different than what that normal thing's falling. So,
yeah. What would your 5 be? Same scenario, out the back of the boat, fishing starting in February and probably ending up with the classic or the regional type tournament in October. And, you got grass lakes, you got smallmouth northern lakes, you've got these Ozark lakes.
Before we go there, what's your wobblehead of choice?
Oh.
I like, with the Gene LaRue, I like, and I also like Hack Attack.
Okay.
7/8.
7/8.
So the big one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A big one. Okay. My 5.
I either go with the big one or the next slice smaller.
Okay.
So my 5 would be obviously a shaky head. If I'm in the back of the boat.
Yeah.
Back of the boat. Shaky head. It's gonna be a jig, obviously. Jerk bait. Underspin. And a square bill.
I thought about a square bill, because you just cover water. But the only thing I'm always worried about is square bill, I guess, with me throwing it depends if I have a limited amount of square bills, hell yeah, I'm throwing a square bill.
Right.
But most of the time, my boaters go, "You lose that square bill? Yep. All right, we're gonna keep on going."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're not going to be mega bass square bills. They're going to be
Just Strike King 1.5 or something.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Got the Z-Craw.
What about you?
Shaky head for sure. No doubt about that. That shaky head this year on the BFLs put a lot of fish in the boat for me. Starting in March, it was just really my go-to bait.
Yep.
I gotta say a little Kitech, like a 3.3, 3.5, either just quarter ounce ball head or underspin. I'm kind of hybridizing two of them, but
you can always cut the wire off of the underspin if you had to.
Sure, yeah, but some kind of little smaller finessey type swim bait. I've been fishing Lake of the Ozarks a lot lately, so you gotta have a jig for sure. I could swim a jig. You can you can fish a jig so many different ways. Geez, I could probably just have those three things and be fine. I would probably take a spinner bait.
So that's where the crankbait came in for me. Like as the back of the boat, I mean, 3-4 baits max. Like that's all you really need. And I mean, I fished going there for the first couple of years, and it was like, okay, what 8 rods can I jam in the boat? And how much tackle can I fit in here just to? And then you'd end up throwing it. I mean, I could go to a tournament and fish out of a Walmart bag, for God's sake. I mean, that's all the tackle that you need. Give me a pack of hooks, a pack of shaky heads, and some baits to go on it, and you're probably good.
Corey threw that frog on the backside. A little top. I was thinking about top water because I mean, once it's
like a little popping bait, like a KVD splash or something like that.
And once it's April through all the way to the end of the year almost, that top water can come into play. And a frog, you can throw a frog in grass and you can throw it in open water. It's not like a treble hook bait where you can't throw it in the grass. So that makes total sense. I mean, I'm thinking the spinner bait is it's so hard. It's hard to choose between a spinner bait or a bladed jig. One or the other. Because they both kind of like a swim jig, spinner bait, and a bladed jig. They all three kind of have their place depending on the day, but you're fishing for the same type of fish. But that's probably.
I have more confidence right now. I have more confidence in a spinner bait than I do a bladed jig.
Yeah,
but that's just.
I'd have to have something Texas rigged with. Some 17-pound fluoro, 20-pound fluoro, something to flip and pitch around besides a jig. I mean, you can do it with the jig, but sometimes you don't want a jig. So just like a beaver style bait, probably.
Well, you're going to be more versatile at that point because then if you're going to just classify it as Texas rig, heck, you could throw a tube on there. You could throw a monster on there.
That's true.
You know, you could throw anything you want on there for that point. So
I'd have a Texas rig beaver. Probably Dirty Sanchez or Magic, like a blue magic squirrel, green pumpkin blue, that kind of thing. That'd probably be my baits. Something I can, flip. I can flip it in grass too, in the holes in grass where your jig's not going to go through that grass near as good, but I can definitely cover water with a, like flipping laydowns and all that other stuff. And that's key at the back of the boat. Sometimes you gotta when your boater's throwing something fast or covering water. You got to have something that you can just kind of do short little pitches and cover water that doesn't get hung up and just make all these short pitches as fast as you can go down the bank.
Well, it's hard as a co-angler too. And we've talked about this quite a bit and Frank's obviously no stranger to it, but you got to fish the same speed as your co-angler, but you don't fish the same, or as your boater. You just can't fish the same water because for one, you're fishing the opens, which have 250 boats in them. There's last year, this year is going to change, but last year there was no off limits. So the lakes have been beat up for a month on end. So the fishing is going to be tough. Sometimes you just got to turn around and fish the junk like Frank does and put the boat on spot lock, run to the back of the boat and fish everything else that you would never fish in a tournament.
Yeah.
As a boat.
Yeah. So. It's funny. Like you were talking about the shaky head, like last year, I threw a shaky head everywhere, every single, and I'll never forget coming in for the last tournament in Oklahoma. And that was the first time that I actually had kind of switched up. And that's when I started throwing, well, not when I started throwing a wobblehead, but I was going between a wobblehead and a shaky head. And I was throwing that wobblehead, skipping that wobblehead in the back of this thing, back underneath this brush piles and stuff. And I'd skip it underneath there. And my buddy Wayne, he wasn't even he was in the tournament, but he's like, man, I'm kind of out of it. So I'm just going to, you kind of have a chance. So we'll just go fish for you. Dude, I skipped that thing underneath the brush pile, pulled that one out, and I was throwing a shaky head. And I'll never forget getting back to the dock. And I'm pretty sure I told you this, Gabe. I get back to the dock, and all I cared about was just making 10th place. But dude, I had no idea how many points I had. It was so funny. I always tell the story. It was so funny because I didn't know how many points I had, because I remember that day I was talking to you at your house and you said, how are you in points? And I literally confidently said, I don't know. I said, I don't think they keep points in as far as co-angler and Bassmasters. Confidently. Yeah. I was just like going, I had no idea, that I had this, I was this high up. So anyway, so I get done with the tournament, and I get done, and I'll never forget, the tournament director said, well, that keeps you in the top 10. He said, yeah, something about top 10. So I get done, this guy comes up and talks to me, and it's just like interviewing me and stuff. And I'm just kind of sitting there, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Jen's over there looking at me like, going, what's going on? I'm like, this guy wants to talk to me, so I'm going to talk to him. So I'm just kind of talking to this guy still. I have no clue what's going on. So I get done. And I fished with Billy Smith that day. And I get done, and I go over there, and he goes, what place did I put you in? I said, confidently, 10th. And Jen looks at me and she goes, what? I go, 10th. And she goes, no, you're not. I go, oh, did somebody knock me out? She goes, no, you're 7th. I go, what? She goes, you're in 7th place. I go, no, I'm not. She goes, yeah, you are. So I go up there and look, and here I am in 7th place. And I was like, all I cared about was making the top 10. So then I get done, and Billy goes, well, how does that put you in points? I said, I don't know. I said, last time I checked, I think I was like 14th or 15th or something like that. And his daughter checked on there for me, and she goes, no, you're in 7th. I go, what? I go, well, there's still people that's got to weigh in. She goes, no, you're the last flight. So I ended up 7th overall. Hadn't had a clue what I was doing, but throwing a shaky head and throwing that wobble head. And I threw that literally on every single tournament. I didn't hardly pick up anything else. I brought 7 rods and only used 2 of them the whole year. Even when we were in Florida, and if it wasn't, when we were in Florida, that was the first time I learned about that fighting frog. So, that was the first time I learned about it. And I watched Blake Lively just go ham. I ain't never seen anything like that before. He missed a 10-pounder and a 7-pounder.
On beds or what?
On beds. I'd never seen anything like that before in my entire life. I remember just coming by, and I looked down, and I looked down and said, man, there's 2 fish on that bed. And he goes, what? I said, there's 2 fish on that bed. So we went down and fished this other stuff. And we come back, and all of a sudden I feel the power poles go down. I go forward, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, there's 2 fish on this bed. I go, yeah. And he goes, flips out there, catches one. He pops it. He's just so excited. Pops it off. He's getting ready to throw it back in. I go, no. I go, come back here and throw that. And he's like, what? I go, come back here. He said, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm positive. Sets that fish down, and dude, he flipped that fighting frog. And as soon as it hit the water, I just watched his rod just go wham. And I was just like, and it just tail walked. And dude, I was sitting there, I was just like going, oh my God. It was funny because me and him both had 0 fish on day 1. And on day 2, he had 15 pounds and I had 11. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. And he missed a 7-pounder and a 10-pounder. And I was just like, oh my God. And that was the first time I ever fished. That was the first time I ever seen the tannic water, and and seeing them on beds and stuff like that. Actually seeing the actual color of the water, and I never seen that before. So that was kind of cool. Just learning those little things. So of course I went out and bought as many big bite baits as I possibly could. I need those and those and those. I need that color and that color.
Yeah, well, that's a testament what you just said about finishing that high up with just 2 baits. And it's kind of what Corey is kind of chiming in on that. He said, honestly, if guys force themselves to throw nothing but a drop shot or a shaky head all day, every day, you'll catch a limit almost every tournament. And I know, I'm thinking when I saw that comment, Corey, there's one guy that fishes in the LBL division. We call him Catfish, and he throws a Carolina rig. He's a co-angler. He throws a Carolina rig.
Is he still fishing?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I didn't see him this year.
Okay.
I didn't run into him this year. But he would fish a Carolina rig. I'm pretty sure that's all he fished. I'm going to go out on a limb and say at least 90% of the time. I always hear about him throwing a Carolina rig. He's made the All-American like a couple times out of the back of the boat, just throwing a Carolina rig. So those baits that are
it's his kind of
it's his you're going to fish it. You're going to be able to focus like we talked about earlier.
And he's not fishing the same water that the boater's fishing.
Right.
I mean, that guy could be throwing up on a shallow flat and he's just winging it out the back of the boat.
Most likely, if your boater's got, let's just say he only has 7 rods up on the deck, and maybe one of those is a Carolina rig. He may only throw that Carolina rig 15% of the time. The rest of the time, he's throwing something else. You're throwing that Carolina rig 100% of the time. So 85% of the time, you're throwing something different than your boater.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So, and you got confidence in that thing that you're throwing, and you're going to be really focused and paying attention to what's going on. So there, I mean, I would say if I had to have one rod in the boat with me and fish out of the back of the boat, I'd have that 7-foot medium heavy Falcon Cara rod with 12-pound fluorocarbon, a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, and I'd have a 1/4 ounce shaky head with a Zoom centipede worm and a green pumpkin with the tail dipped in chartreuse. Yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could catch a fish in just about any tournament with that for sure.
Yeah. It would be shaky head would be my definitely 110% go-to. As a matter of fact, it was funny because I was when we fished Chesapeake, when we fished Chesapeake Bay, I was practicing with Upshaw, and I told Upshaw, I was like, I actually practiced with Wayne the first day, and I'd flip my shaky head. I would flip shaky head out there. I wasn't getting bit. Now I'm throwing this in grass. I'm just throwing this right at the edge of grass, and I wasn't getting bit. So I decided to throw on a half ounce, 1/4 ounce. Throw a 1/4 ounce on a hitworm, June bug colored hitworm, and I'd flip it out there, and it was just falling too fast. I'd flip it in the grass, and I'd just pull it just enough to where I get to one of those holes and just let it just sink on down. And I got one bite. And I was like, I wonder what happens if I threw an 1/8 ounce on there. I threw an 1/8 ounce on there, flipped it out, 3-pounder, 3-pounder, 3-pounder. And
crazy.
And Upshaw looked at me and goes, "What are you throwing?" I go, "Hitworm." He goes, "I'm not throwing that gay little worm." I go, okay, that's fine. So then Hallman came by and asked if we were catching fish. I throw on there, stink, and he looked at me and goes, "I'm not throwing that." He goes, I am not throwing that. I'm like going, but if it would have been me as a boater, I would have threw that until it wouldn't have worked anymore. But it was just like, powers to be, we'd end up throwing something else. But I was just like, just those little things. And I was just like going, if I could have thrown a shaky head, I'd have threw a shaky head. If they would hit that shaky head, I'd have thrown it all day. Because they were just eating, dude. They were eating that thing up on Chesapeake. They were just eating, because I knew what everybody else was throwing. That's one of those times when I'm practicing and I'm running to the back of the boat because I know what everybody else is going to be doing. I know it. I knew it. And I was like, they're going to be throwing this, or this. I'm not going to get a chance to throw that. So I'd run, stop that boat, run the back, start throwing out here, doing all this other stuff. Where I was like going, I know they have to be thinking, what's this guy doing?
Yeah. That fall rate is critical sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's, especially on a shaky head. I mean, I fish at 3/16 a lot, and I kind of fish a 1/4 a little bit more. But there was a time where I fished fishing like an 1/8. I fished an 1/8 almost religiously up until a couple of years ago, and I caught a lot of fish on an 1/8 ounce. I mean, it's slower; it forces you to slow down. And I kind of had a theory where the 1/8 ounce, when it's on the bottom, you get the slow fall, of course, but even when it's on the bottom, when you pull, it kind of glides. It's not trying to stay on the bottom like a 1/4 ounce head's going to try to drag. That 1/8 ounce kind of lifts, and it's a more natural. It's just got better action. And you throw that on 8-pound test, and you're going to get more bites for sure.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Ron says 7 rods is too many. He just needs a spoon.
I was going to say some people would say 7 rods isn't enough.
It is. You're right, Ron. I mean, I typically take 7 to 8 rods, and usually in a BFL, and usually I only use 3, maybe 4 And a lot of times it ends up just being like 1 or 2 that I keep switching out. But those auxiliary rods, sometimes I'll just take an auxiliary rod that's like a topwater rod that I'll be throwing early in the morning or something. And then I just put it down. I don't touch it the rest of the day. Or there's that extra couple rods that I may not pick up and I might pick up. But usually you got your like 3 workhorses that get most of the time.
Well, and we had talked about that, like 1 rod, 1 tackle box, like 1 plain old box, doing a BFL like that. We never did it because I think we were both too chicken to like break a rod. Or
we were going to do 1 rod and 1 box.
Yeah, right? one rod, 1 box.
Just fish.
You guys should, man. That'd be an awesome show.
I think I'd have to have like 2 or 3, just like, because I'm the paranoid. Like, what happens if I break a rod?
Yep.
Randomly set the hook on a fish and boat flip it. It snaps in half at 7:30 in the morning.
You could carry your little travel rod. Like a little one that just telescopic rod. Yeah.
Oh,
Old Bender says 1/8 ounce all day long.
Yeah. I could see that, dude. That's what I threw on. I mean, that's what I threw on Lake of the Ozarks a lot, was an 1/8 ounce. Why? Because I knew everybody else was throwing, bigger stuff. So I just feel like I just needed. I knew that they're biting on it. I need something that looks just a little different,
I know from being on this live stream, we've talked to several pros that have said
one way or the other.
It's one way or the other. Like instead of throwing a 3/8 ounce jig or a 1/2 ounce jig, a lot of those guys are throwing like a 1 ounce jig in 2 foot of water, like shallow. Jesus. Yeah, that's Morgan Taylor was talking about.
Yeah, that was the like. Wait, you're doing what?
Yeah,
same response was you went.
Yeah,
you went the other way, and I think we've had more pros say the other way, heavier than lighter
on a tough day.
Wow.
Yep. Something you'd be throwing out in 20 foot of water, they're throwing up in 2 foot of water.
But the same principle applies, right? I mean, you're doing it because it's something different. Nobody else is doing it. Nobody sees that. Well, what is everybody else doing? 3/8, half. That's your bread and butter, right? Mm-hmm. If you were to go to a store right now and pick up a green pumpkin jig, what size would it be?
Maybe half.
Or 3/8. Mine would be 3/8. Yours is half. That's the probably 1 and 2 combo that everybody's going to buy in the store. There's not many people buying a 1 ounce flipping jig.
No,
because you don't need it.
No, that Andy, that hitworm's a little bit. It's different than the shorty from Crockett Gator. The shorty's a new bait that Crockett Gator just came out with. It's the
hitworm's a little bit longer.
It's a little bit longer than the.
It's like 7.5 inches, but the tail is like nothing. It is like the size of a pencil lead. It's really whippy.
Yeah, I really like that. I got lucky enough one time to be paired with John Cox, and he was telling me about it, and he's like, "You need to get some of these." And I was like, "Oh no, okay, whatever." So I bought some, and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to buy a lot more."
Yeah, the crackhead comes out real quick when that one hits the water.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, didn't you say John Cox was kind of a minimalist? Didn't have a lot of.
Dude, probably one of the fun. I had a lot of fun times, but he's probably one of my funnest. Fishing with him on lacrosse. I'll never forget. He had just picked that boat up, and he had just that little small, like almost like a day box in the front. That's all he had, and that boat was. And as far as lures goes, that's all he had. And he had like maybe 5, maybe 6 rods, maybe. I mean, it's a new boat. There's nothing in the back. There's nothing. There's nothing in the middle. Nothing on the other side of the rod locker box. And I remember asking, I was like, and that's when he had broke his broke his transducer. So he didn't even have a fish finder on the front. Nothing at all.
Huh.
At lacrosse.
At lacrosse. Not one single thing. Like, we're going, and I was like, I just looked at him and said, I remember asking him, I was like, so I said, John, I said, let me ask you a question. He's like, yeah. I said, how many rods do you have in here? And he goes, I think 5 or 6. Well, then he had threw one out, throwing a frog, and the gears came out. He just took the gears out, threw them out, still fish with the thing, still catching fish. I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, oh my God, And then I noticed he never went around anywhere else to get anywhere baits. He just kept going in that little bitty 12x6 day box. And I was like, how much money and tackle do you think you have in this boat right now? He goes, I don't know, about maybe 200, 250. I'm like going, oh. And he was, I was just like, I put it this way. You fish with some guys and you're just like, man, this guy's really good. I fished with him, and I'll never forget when he would cast on the left side of the boat. I wouldn't even cast over there. I just go to the right side of the boat. He cast on the right side. I forget that. I go to the left side.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, everything that he was a vacuum. And then at one point he was just catching pike. That's what he wanted to do. So he just catching pike. He's like, I'm just gonna catch some pike for a little bit. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He had 2 frogs, and one was all torn up. He had 2 frogs. Brought 2 frogs to lacrosse. 2.
Yeah, I mean, you could lose those in 2 casts up there.
Yeah, with and still catching, dude. He was just still catching. I was just like, this is crazy. I mean, I thought I was doing pretty good because I caught a fish before John Cox, and that was like the only one that I caught before John Cox. And then he just went to. Dude, he just went to wrecking them. And I was just like, wow. It was just like, amazing to watch. Just very nonchalant, just very relaxed. Doesn't get all bitty out of shape. He just, whatever, just chill. Just
makes they make it look easy, right? I mean, it looks.
Yeah, he did.
Well, we're the ones that make it hard, right?
I know. Right?
Well, and the tackle, I mean, the amount of tackle that we think that we need.
Oh, my gosh.
We just talked about it. You fished the entire season of the Opens with 2 rods.
Mm-hmm.
Not 30.
Yeah.
Not 3, 2.
Yeah. And it's funny because my buddy Eugene, like, he's very, very methodical, very meticulous. And, like, he'll keep his rod sock and his rod glove and his reel sock or reel cover on. And that taught me, like, I always said like this: if I come back to weigh in and all my rod socks are off, that means I'm looking, I'm not catching anything.
Yeah.
I was like I said, if I can I usually leave my rod socks on. I just take a strap and I just strap them on, and I try to focus on using the rods that I feel as though that are going to work. And one was shaky head and the other was a wobble head. So I would try to focus on those 2. And then, like, when I got to Oneida, it was just, I mean, literally, I caught them. The most fish I caught was on that chatterbait. As a matter of fact, my very first day, day on the water, my first fish, we got there, we took off at 7, and I think took off at 7. We got there. My first fish came at 7:22, and my next fish came at 7:37. And I already had 2 fish in the boat, and then my guy spun out, and so he just spun out. So
yeah,
JP's got it right here. Bring more tackle as a co than John Cox does as a boater. So now, you said that he just got that boat. Was that an anomaly for John Cox, or is that how with the amount of tackle and the amount of equipment that he carried with him?
He typically carry
probably carry a little bit more, or
I think he carries a little bit more, but and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but he's very, very minimal, very, very minimal, and I think that when he fishes, this is how minimal he is, and it's a funny story. So we're sitting there fishing, and we get done, and John goes, he asked me, he said, "So where are you guys staying at?" And I told him where we're staying at. We're like 20 minutes away. Well, he had to stay like an hour or something away. This is how minimal. And he's like, "You guys ever wash and dry in there?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I only brought this one shirt." So me and Jenny washed John Cox's shirt so he'd have a shirt to wear the next day.
Wow.
That's packing light right there.
Yeah, packing very light. Very light. But, dude, I'm telling you, I don't think – and it's funny if you watch him – I mean, like, over the years, I've just, ever since I fished him, I've really paid attention to how he fishes, and, and just, I don't think he packs his boat like others. I don't know, because that was a brand new boat. He was actually testing that boat out to see if he's going to use. I think it wasn't was it MX-20? I don't think it was that boat, but dude, I mean, even relaxed driving. We're not going fast. He's just cruising around, finds a spot. I asked him, I said, do you know, I mean, like, there's no fish finder. So I'm like going, you know where you're going? I mean, it's lacrosse. And you'd be in 30 feet of water and then all of a sudden, sandbar.
Yeah.
You know?
Did he have mapping or anything?
Nothing.
Nice.
And he never missed a beat. He's like, I fished here before. He knows where I'm going. He goes, I know where I'm going. I was like, all right. And he sure in the hell did.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of cinch up the life jacket a little bit tighter. And
yeah, but he was just like, I mean, he's just I think he takes it serious, but not as like, as serious as a lot of them do. He just, you know, it's what he does to make a living. So he's very good at it. So,
well, he's kind of like, we've had Keith Carson on here, and that's one of his running buddies. And Keith Carson's like ultra laid back, just kind of,
he's very laid back.
Just all about good vibes and letting it just kind of happen natural. The way it is the way it is. And I think Cox is kind of like that. And that's a good way to live life in general.
That's exactly how he is.
Let it flow.
Dude, when they fished, I can't remember where they fished. They're fishing somewhere up north. And I texted him, I was like going, how did you even stay on the boat? Because that boat was rocking, dude. And he's like, oh, yeah, it was hard. Dude, I'd have been hanging onto my butt seat trying to cast with one hand, but dude, he just relaxed. It's like, I don't know. It's like going, I'd have been scared to death.
I remember the tournament where Cox was catching them on that Fritz side. It might have been last year or the year before, but he claimed that it was one of the first times he'd ever really thrown, you know, a flat-sided crankbait or a shallow running crankbait, and he found the new tool in his toolbox that day. It's amazing. And he's got where he's gotten where he's at on just minimal stuff for the most part.
Yeah. He's just a very relaxed guy that I fished with.
Here's a question from Russ. What sets those pros apart from the rest of us? Can we all learn to do what they do or just successful, or do you think there's a hidden talent? What's your thought on that, being in the boat with so many great anglers?
One, dedication and time on the water. Time on the water, hands down. And I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, they're on the water. I mean, shoot, dude, I don't know how many days they're on the water, but I mean, what's funny too is like I watch them, like when I go practice with some of them, a lot of these guys don't cast. Some of them don't make a cast. Some of them just go out there and they find fish and then may go back later. I've been on the boat with Gleason before, and he's just, you know, just finding fish, you know. And I've been on boat with a lot of guys, and they just find the fish, and they'll go back, maybe make one cast or something like that. But they're really studying what's happening versus the fish are here, whatever, you know, whatever. And they really study, like, they're, you know, keyed on this laydown, or they're keyed to this one rock, and they really, really study what's going on versus us going out there and be like, all right, I'm out here on the water and I'm just, you know, I'm just casting or something like that. Those guys really, they definitely put in their time 110%.
Well, they want to understand what the fish are doing and what they're going to be doing in 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, exactly. Not what they're doing today and yesterday.
Exactly.
Well, and I think you touched on a big difference between just the weekend angler and a professional that has 250, 275 days on the water. Mm-hmm. We're just excited to get out there. We want to fish. We want to catch fish. Mm-hmm. That their job is they've caught more fish in their lifetime than we're gonna. Yeah, exactly. They know how to catch a fish. They're out there looking at the fish, and they can just tell whether the fish are going to bite, you know, or they're set up right, or where they're at,
where they're going to be at the next couple of days.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I think is amazing is when you're out there and you're fishing with these guys, how they can tell, like, you know, they may be here at one time during the day, and it's crazy to watch these guys. I mean, like even now that I do it myself now, it's like when you're fishing and you catch that fish, dude, I promise you, the first thing I do is I look at the time, I look at the water temp, I look at where I'm at, I look at every possible thing that's happened right there where I caught that fish. And then I try to reproduce that. And they can do that so quick, you know, just by sometimes not even making a cast, you know, or if they make a cast and they just shake a fish off and then they'll, go to another spot and shake, same thing, and shake that fish off as well at the same spot. And then that kind of clues them into what's going to be happening the next couple days, But like I said, that time on the water to them is just like you said, we're out there, they're just like, got it.
So they talked about this on BTL the other day. How much do you think is just God-given ability? Is it just natural? Like Cox, I feel Cox and Keith Carson, some of those guys that are those shallow water anglers,
Jordan Lee,
they're just gifted.
Yes.
They can make the decisions, and it's just second nature to them. I think there's a handful of them that are out there that are like that they don't think about it. They just go out and react.
Yes, exactly.
That you can't learn that though. That's not something that you can go study in a book and go, oh yeah, that's how you do this.
Yeah. And another thing too, it's like, they know like when they're not getting a bite in so many minutes or so, they make that decision right then and there. I need to go somewhere else. I need to change exactly what I'm doing right now. It's not like I'm going to make these fish bite. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going down. It's funny to watch them make that quick decision that like, I'm not getting a bite here. And then totally just do something totally different. And I'm just like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Just to watch that as versus me, I'm going to keep going down this bank throwing a square bill because I know they're going to bite. Yeah. And they were like, nope, they're not going to bite, but they will eventually here at, whatever time, and I'm just like going, okay, I'm understanding now.
You got to know if it's a spot or if it's an area.
Yes.
Are you just fishing a spot? Because what'll happen, and I've been working on this the last several years, is you're fishing a spot and then you try to expand in the area, and next thing you know, you're 500-600 yards down the bank and you haven't got a bite. Well, that's because it was a spot, it wasn't the area. And there's if you get in a good area, you can fish it thoroughly for quite a while and still be around fish. So that just comes with time on the water and practice. And like what Corey's saying, mental decision-making, open-mindedness in a moment. Best pros dominate on those keys. When you get that gut feeling, go with it just to see what happens. If you're out there just fun fishing sometimes and this happened to me the other day. I caught a really nice fish on a jerkbait, like a 4.5 pounder probably on a jerkbait off a laydown. And I'm like, okay, there is probably a laydown jerkbait bite going on right now. So I went down the bank and there was another laydown, but it wasn't set up the same as the laydown I just caught that fish on. It was in a little bit shallower water and it was on a flatter point. Well, I fished that, I didn't get bit. And then there was another one way down there that I could see. I fished everything in between instead of just putting the trolling motor on high and going to that laydown. And then once I got there, I went on the other side of the cove and I kind of lost track of what I thought maybe the pattern would have been, what I should have done was hit those 3 laydowns really fast, picked up the trolling motor, ran a couple different areas that had those laydowns that were similar with the wind blowing on to see if that was an actual pattern. Well, you get caught up fishing and next thing you know, an hour and a half is gone away. And there may have been a bite window where if I would have just ran like 20 laydowns, I might have caught 5 really good fish because there was a bite window going on for 45 minutes. If I'd have been disciplined and just stuck to what I thought was the pattern, I might have had a really banner day. But if you start fishing all that stuff in between, that little 45-minute window disappears because you spend all your time fishing dead water instead of trying that. So that's something I've been working on, is when I get if I get a bite and I start thinking about the other places on that lake that set up the same way, being disciplined enough to pull the trolling motor and run and hit as many of those as you can. And just to find out if that's a pattern going on. It may not be. I mean,
one fish only take you 20, 30 minutes.
Right. One fish could be a ghost fish. Maybe that was just that only fish that's set up like that. But you don't know unless you like force yourself to go try that and see. And that's how you learn. I mean, you can learn really fast if you just be disciplined to learn.
The same time it took you to run 5 to 10 laydowns, it would be the same time it takes you to run to troll from that laydown and fish to the next laydown.
Yeah.
So just
Right.
get
Or
it out
fish
of the
500 yards
yeah.
at the same time to fish that 500 yard.
Yeah, and not get a bite.
Right.
Oh yeah, hands down, 100%.
It's tough to do sometimes though, because sometimes you just want to be out. One of the differences in fun fishing and tournament fishing is
No pressure.
Is fun fishing. You're just out there.
Yeah.
You're getting away from work and you're relaxing.
you're-
Tournament fishing's a job. I mean, when you start, you really get to that upper tier, it's a job, which is, it's totally different. It's a yin and yang. I mean, I love tournament fishing. I like the competition. I like the scene. I like being out there.
But it doesn't pay the mortgage. It doesn't pay the car payment.
No, I got a full-time gig, you know, but if I was out there and that's how I was making my money, I have to change my mindset a little.
Yeah. You'd be on the water way more than what you thought. Yeah. And that's just reading everything, reading the water. I mean, just reading the weather. I mean, it's just crazy how, like, when they, you know, make those decisions so fast. And like I was telling the story about Sagey. I mean, he knew. He's like, and he just knew. And it was just like going, okay, you know, to go back to just start over. You know, maybe he was there too early. Maybe he thought he was there too early. Maybe he thought he was there too late. I don't know. It was just, he made that decision and completely started over. It's like, these fish aren't ready yet. So.
Yeah, the timing is another really big deal, man. That's why, you know, like when I do my videos and stuff, I don't mind sharing stuff. And me and Ron and I have had this conversation just recently about showing certain baits and techniques, even on a certain lake where somebody can tell exactly where you're fishing. That we were shooting a video the other day and there was a channel swing. There's a deep channel swing. And I called him like, hey man, I'm editing this video. There's a channel swing and I think people could tell where it's at. Do you have a problem with that? And he was like, no, dude, don't worry about it. He's like, there's fish on that channel swing like once a year, for like a week. The chances of somebody figuring out exactly where that channel swing is, and maybe they will, but they may check it 3, 4, 5 times and there's never anything there. And then they're never going to check it again. It's one of those little sneaky spots where you got to pull up at the right time and they're only there on occasion. But it's the same thing with a bait. You can tell somebody you're catching fish on a 1/2 ounce green pumpkin jig with a magic swirl blue crawl on there, whatever. Yeah. Well, they may go out 2 days later and that bite's not going on. You know, they've got all this confidence in it on the way to the lake, and then they fish it for an hour. They don't get bit on it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Or they're working it different.
It doesn't take much to get confidence in a bait from listening to somebody talk about it, and then it doesn't take much to lose all that confidence in the first hour that you didn't get a bite on that bait. That you just spent $500 on buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. From store shelf to the lake, you got all the confidence in the world, and then an hour on the lake, you lose all that confidence.
Exactly.
For sure.
It's crazy. So what's going on next year, man? What's your plans for 2023?
Next year, I am doing Division 1. I am Eufaula. I'm looking at this Lake Eufaula in Alabama, Lake Wheeler in Alabama, and Florida, Harris Chain in Florida. And hopefully, if everything goes right, then I'll be doing Division 2, which is Toledo Bend, Eufaula in Oklahoma, and then Lake of the Ozarks. Of course, I want to fish that one.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll probably jump into some Toyota Series, Grand Lake, Kentucky Lake, Lake of the Ozarks again. I have to look up here because this is where the stuff is.
Gotcha. Your calendar and all your stuff's written down up there, or what?
No, that's where Jenny writes it down, and I have to. If I want to know what I'm doing, Gabe, I have to come in here.
Oh, you got a whiteboard up there with the erasable marker.
Everything's sitting all up here that's in front of me that I know what I'm doing.
That's a good idea.
I can guarantee you this: when these tournaments come up, I'll look at Jen and go, "Where are we going?"
It's on the wall.
I know that's exactly what she'll say. It's right there. Did you read it? I'm like,
now, boater or co-angler?
I'm going boater. Going boater this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. It's going to be my first year as a boater. So you'll probably see me poop, puke, and probably poop again all in one time.
Before takeoff.
Before takeoff, at takeoff, I tell you this story. It'd probably be doing a national anthem because that's usually when I do stuff that makes no sense. Like went to a tournament and got out there, got on the guy's boat, and I was like, got my bag, and I was like, I don't have any fishing poles. That's kind of weird. I'm in a fishing tournament. So there I am running back to the truck while the national anthem's going on, running back, running with my poles. So that's probably when it'll happen. National anthem. So
well, you're fortunate. You're fortunate to have her around because she's been a backbone for sure.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to get out there and cut my teeth, so to speak. Not trying to make the elites or anything like that. It'd be great to fish a classic, and if I don't, I want to take all the stuff that I've learned over the years and see if I can apply, what I know. And it's still like, even still to this day, I mean, like, even though I'll be fishing out of a Vexus next year, and even though I'm doing that, I still try to keep my tackle to a minimum, just like we've been talking. I don't want to get myself real strung out. I try to keep very minimal amount of rods on there. I want to know, like, when I get to a spot, if there's fish there, if there's catchable fish there. And the first person I ever seen do that was Gleason when I fished with him on Toledo Bend. And I remember telling my wife when I got off the water, I said, I've never been on a boat with somebody that goes, and this is my first time ever, there are fish there, I'm going to go catch them. And just about every spot that we stopped, and there were fish there. I mean, he caught them, and I was just like, wow. I was like, that was very impressive, and that's where I want to be. I don't want to have like, and I know a lot of guys, me personally, I'd spin out if I had 6 rods on this side, 6 rods on that. I want to be like going, I'd be throwing this and looking down going, I bet you this will work because I'm going to pick this up, and that's me. So I try to keep my rod selection or my lure selection down to a minimum. Like you may see 3 on this side and 3 on that side. And then once I figure it out, I will tell you this. This is funny. If they ever show me on TV and I've got 1 rod on there, I figured them out.
Yeah.
And if I've got 1 rod, and what's funny because I got ADD, so as soon as I figure it out, dude, I am shoving rods in there as quick as I possibly can. I come up and I look like, I don't know, freaking Paul Bunyan or somebody, and I'm like, and I'm just casting.
Yeah.
I am casting full then, but it's just like, I've actually been trying to, because I've always been the co-angler. I've never had to try to position the boat for somebody else to fish. You know what I mean? It's different like when you go with your buddies and stuff like that. But I understand that and coming from the co-angler side as well, I don't want to be that boater that when they get off the water, like, oh man, this guy backboated me and so on and so forth. But, I also want them to understand that, that I'm doing this because, this is what I honestly want to do for a living, So it's like, I'm not going to try to backboat anybody or anything like that, but it's like, go catch your fish and, get that mindset of I've got to catch these 5 fish, whether they're, wraps or 5 or 6 pounders, So it's just like, but I'm very, very excited, very, very looking forward to getting out there and having you guys have me back on the show and going, what in the hell are you doing? Like, oh man,
Hey, hopefully we'll have you on.
Just don't forget us little guys when you're.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always going to be. What's so funny? I always tell everybody, I'm like, dude, I'm always going to be. I'll probably never see myself as a professional because I'm entirely too goofy to be. And be like, he was doing what? He's got snorkeling gear on. What?
His snorkel was hanging out.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. If you're ever in the top 10 on the final day, you got to wear those shorts up there, man.
Oh, dude.
People can just deal with it and get over it.
Oh I just want to see you running on a lake one day with your snorkel on.
There you go.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was definitely a little different experience for me. I'm pretty sure for everybody else that was there too.
What Vexus are you going to be fishing out of?
I'm actually going to be fishing out of 2080, the aluminum, aluminum fiberglass aluminum one. So, yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm pretty excited. 200 Merc. I'll have 2 10s and a 12. So you definitely got to have your forward-facing sonar. And I know a lot of guys are upset or mad, or I'm not sure what's going on about all that whole thing.
Haters.
So,
Haters gonna.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm telling you, if I could afford it all, I'd have them all. I mean, I'd probably pull a Jacob Wheeler and have every system I had could afford on there. You know.
Speaking of Wheeler, did you see what he dropped today?
I did see that.
No, I missed it. What was it?
He's designed his own boat.
He's designed his own boat
For Hydro Sports?
for I can't remember the name of the company.
Icon?
Yes, Icon. Yes.
Like
Really?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it either.
Not much on
Dude,
it. Just like
hey, if you're designing your own boat, you're like big time. That's like Well, it's one thing to have like a rod line or a lure line, but you got your own boat.
Yeah.
Dang.
Did you see the teaser today? Did you see the? Yeah.
There's not much stuff. It didn't give you much.
No.
It was pretty like just blank canvas.
Yep. Yeah. So, I'm curious to see. I wonder how much that thing's going to go for. That's what I want to know.
No telling.
Yeah.
No telling. Is it glass boat or aluminum?
Yeah, it was glass.
Okay.
Glass. Yeah, it's definitely glass. I can't wait to see it.
Ron says the 28 is a great boat.
It is a great boat, man. You know, I'm not. I don't care about going 100 miles an hour. I just don't. I never have. I'm like, going, just get me there safely, get me back safely, get my coin back there safely. Let's go catch some fish and have a good time. That's all. You know, that's all I want to do. Just catch some fish and have a good time. Yeah, I want to treat my co-anglers the way that pretty much I can all of except for one boater that I've had the whole going on 8 years have all been good. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty hard to say. You know, you get guys that make different decisions that you probably wouldn't make, but I've only had one boater just be a total jerk to me. Just like, okay, whatever. So.
Yeah, I'd say I have similar.
Did you pull your snorkel?
Similar experience. Yeah,
I did. I was about ready to. I was like, man, you want some of this snorkel?
I will slap you upside the head with that snorkel.
You gotta have like a raccoon and a snorkeling gear as your wrap next year.
Man, I got a pet raccoon in here. A snorkel. He's wearing a snorkel. Whoop your ass.
This is taking a turn for the worst, I swear.
No, I think it's a turn for the best.
Just know it's probably always going to be like that if I'm on here.
Oh, no.
Tim said he took a ride in a VX20 last year. That's a great rig.
Question: Are you going to be at the Classic this year?
I think so, man. I've worked.
You're looking at the wall. You're looking at the wall. I see. Is it on the wall?
I think so. I've worked it the last 2 years, and if you guys ever get a chance to go to the Classic, dude, go.
I've been twice. It's awesome. I've been trying to talk Tim to go.
Oh my gosh, Gabe, you gotta go, man. You will just love it. I've been to one Classic. I've worked two. I will never go to. I won't. The thing is I'll never go to another Classic unless I'm in it. So I'll work them as much as they want me to work them. But yeah, I probably won't go to another one. Next time I actually at the Classic, I'll be in the Classic.
You're talking about at the weigh-in part.
At the weigh-in part.
Yeah. Even the expo is amazing.
Dude, that is just freaking amazing. Well, it is. Like, it is amazing.
Well, you grew up here going to like the sports show in Cape and all of those. But that's the sports show. That's hunting, fishing, catfishing, whatever, you name it.
Yeah.
This is 3 rooms, 3 buildings of bass heads.
Yeah, just ridiculous. The first one, I mean, it was really cool, and not to be name dropping or anything like that, but it's really cool for me to go because, like, here I am, standing there with, some of the guys I look up to. Here's, Gerald Swindle's like literally right there. I'm sitting here working with Gerald Gleason and Cody Huff and just all these different guys. Here comes Kevin Van Dam walking down the thing, just talking to me, and Jordan Lee standing over there. I'm just like going. My wife's standing over there, and she's like, "How cool is this?" I was like, "This is the most awesome thing in the world," So I'm just like sitting there, just talking to these guys, and then here comes Johnny Morris, here comes Jimmy Houston, and I'm standing. It was really cool because I'm standing in the middle, and Gleason was giving me crap. It's like, go over there and get his autograph. I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And then about 5 minutes later, it's like, I'm gonna be that guy. give me my snorkel and my raccoon. I'm that dude.
I'm going in.
So yeah, but it's just really cool just to see like Ish Monroe. I mean, just everybody that's there. You know, Mike Iaconelli, dude, was so crazy. So Mike Iaconelli standing behind me, and it was, you know, a while back, but I went to the Bass University that they had in Tennessee, you know, the little seminar they had in Tennessee. So I go to that and I get to meet Randy Howe, Pete Gunzik, Gerald Swindle, John Cruz, and they're just all there. Mike Iaconelli, they're all there. And I'm just like going, wow, this is really, really cool. Literally did, it's a true story, literally my very first Bassmaster Open was on Toledo Bend. I fished with Daryl Gleason that day, and so I practiced with my buddy Scotty, and we get off the water, and I never do this, but I was just like, because we were staying in Manny, and it was like a 30-minute drive for Jen to come up there and pick me up. So, you know, after you fish, like you guys fish together, so you know, like when one of you's ready to go, you kind of know, it's like, oh, he's ready to go. We'll be ready to go here pretty soon, you know? So I was fishing with Scotty, and I just kind of knew that it was winding down. He's like, well, we're going to go ahead and go. So I'd already texted Jen, and I just said, hey, I'm going to be getting off the water soon. I said, go ahead and start driving. She's like, okay. So anyway, so we get back to start heading back, and Scotty looks at me and goes, so you can call your wife and tell her to come get you. And I was like, oh,
I don't know, man. You might get more autographs. Who knows?
and so I said,
snorkel, right?
I told her to come get me. And so when she comes and gets me, Scotty decides to stop and get gas. Well, who goes? I already knew it was in a gas station. It's a gas station, a little eatery, and then a huge tackle shop over there. So Scotty's getting gas, and I'm like, I'm just going to walk on in here. Yeah, I hadn't even got my pairings or anything like that yet. And I walk in, and there's Swindle, you know. And Jen's got a hold of my arm, and all of a sudden she lets go of my arm. I look back at her. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, it's Joe Swindle. I was like, what? I was like, and it was the first time in my life that I didn't know whether to call him in Mr. Swindle, Gerald, G-Man. I didn't know what to call him. I was like, what's up, G? He's like, hey, man, what's going on? And sat over there and talked to me and Jen for like, I don't know, 15 minutes. Like he's known us all his whole life. And obviously, you know, I'm a big Swindle fan. And so I'm just like, yeah, I'm on cloud nine. So we get done, we get our pairing. I get paired with Gleason. And, you know, when I went to that Bass University, when I came back from that Bass University, that's when I asked Jenny to marry me. From what Swindle had to say that day and that thing, you know, because he wasn't just talking about fishing. And I was just like, you know, I've been a Swindle fan ever since. And so I get paired with Gleason, and I tell Gleason the story, and he's like, he looks at me and goes, you talking about, I'm calling him Gerald. I was like, you know, he goes, you talking about G? I go, huh? He goes, you talking about G-Man? I go, yeah. He goes, dude, that's my best friend. So he pulls me to the boat over there, and I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, that's Gerald Swindle. It's like he's right there. Like he's right there. He's literally right there. I can touch his boat. And so we come back, and Gleason parks next to Swindle, and the first thing he says to me is, hey, man, don't get my boat all muddy. And then gave me his autograph, and I was just like, and there's, you know, Polinick standing right there, and I'm just like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. So then I go to the Classic and hear all these guys there that, you know, that I'm looking up to, and I sit there and I think to myself, and I look at Jen and I said, just think, a couple of years ago, we're sitting here watching this Classic, and we were watching all these guys fish and so on and so forth, and just watching this whole thing. And I said, in a million years, I would have never thought that I'm standing here working for a dynamic sponsorship at the Classic, you know, and Gerald Swindle, Kevin Van Dam, Mike Iaconelli's right behind me. And I'm just like going, Daryl Gleason's right. And I'm just like, you know, I got just all these guys are just standing beside me. And I'm just like going, hey, you know, and then these people are coming up and they're like, can I have your autograph? And I don't even know what to do. I'm like going, I don't even have a pen or a marker or anything. I'm like, you got a crayon? I'll sign your snorkel. You got a raccoon? I'll sign it. You know,
that's awesome, man.
It was crazy, dude. It's crazy, and to have that picture, I literally have a picture of me and Mike standing together, And then at the tournament on Chesapeake Bay, like when he comes in for check-in, because I'm working at the Toyota booth, and he comes in for check-in, and I said, "Hey man, I can show you a picture." And I showed it to him. He's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, dude, way back when." He's like, I mean, he definitely, didn't have the same sponsors then as he does now. Some of them were, but it was crazy. It was just crazy, just to see where I am now versus where I was 7 years ago. I was literally sitting on my sofa going, "Is Bassmaster Classic coming on?" I'm sitting at work going, and people can tell you at work, dude, I'm sitting there with my headphones on, my phone down here, watching the Classic or watching MLF or watching something about fishing, whether it's reading Bass Magazine or Bassmaster, just something with fishing, and I'm just like going, here I am now, living in Arkansas. Bull Shoals is right there. I'm on 10-horse Monty, and I'm just like going, this is like,
life is
dude,
good.
I'm telling you, I am seriously living the dream right now. It's crazy, and I have to say this real fast. So when I started this and I used to fish Spanish Lake and so on and so forth, and my buddy, Daryl Zastro, he literally has been like one of my biggest fans. It's like, just help me out, just push me, what's the next step, what's going on here, and just fishing with all the guys I fish with, like Phil Priest and Mike Lucas, and just all these crazy guys. And it's just crazy for me. Alex Loeb, I could go on for days. Gabe Montgomery, just for days, just to sit there and just go, we were two kids that just lived a house in between us, literally a house in between us. So I always sit there and I think to myself, anybody can do what we're doing. You just have to have the dedication. It's like starting your own. It's like starting your own live stream, starting your own YouTube channel.
Right.
And think about when you first started, and it's just like anybody can do it, but you just have to have that dedication and have to have that mindset that I'm going for this and this is what I want, and it's crazy. I'm sitting here painting my own lures, and that was all because I got all my lures stolen.
I didn't know that's how you got started in that.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
We were down at Piedmont and
Clearwater.
We're camping that day, and all of a sudden, I just wasn't feeling very well, and I decided to go lay down. Well, I didn't lock up the boat because I'm like, we're in a campground. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Well, something did happen. They just went through and cleaned out the whole campground, like everything. They cleaned out everything. So of course I filled out, my thing for my insurance and everything else. And the first thing, because they gave us this spreadsheet, what they want us to use, and they come back. And so, just think about it. Like if you had to go right now, if both of you had to go exactly, if you had to go right now and go. And so I was just like, well, the only thing that saved us was what Jen did with the insurance. And for some reason, unknown reason, like when I'm, doing whatever in the garage, I start videotaping like my lures and stuff. Well, I had video of just about all my lures. It was $12,900 something worth of stuff they stole. So of course we had to turn it in. Well, the first thing that came back was $1,290. I was like, whoa, I think I had more than that. Yeah. And so they sent us the check out, and after they revamped everything, and Jen just thought I was just going to go buy everything, and I'm just like going, no. I was like going, I can buy this for this, and I just start pricing stuff and everything else, and I was just like going, man, I can make this lure. I know I can make this lure. And of course, my first ones, I'm just like, I can't. I realized I couldn't paint to save my life, but then also figured out I was colorblind. But then really? I just gotten better and better and better over the years, and now, I'm just like going, like I literally have some right behind me that are drying right now. So I'm just like going. So I just started painting like my own. I'm painting some for Dell, as a matter of fact. I'm painting some for Dell. I painted the ones that we used in this last Saturday's tournament. They just, and not to toot my own horn, but they're pretty dang good. And they caught fish, so that's all I care about. As long as they're catching fish, and just like making my own shaky heads and wobble heads and all that other stuff. I'm pretty sure that everybody else is doing the same, own jigs. But it's just like, it's nice to go catch stuff on your own stuff. So that's why we started, Convergence Tournament Tackle. So I was like going, you know what, I can save this money and use it towards something else and just buy just the stuff to get me by, So I knew I didn't need the all the Shimano's, all the G Loomises, I just was like, oh man, I'll start out slow. I'll just start out slow and I'll just keep building myself up from there. And that's what I did, and now I'm, definitely like Shimano's. I definitely like St. Croix rods, that's just the thing, and the only reason I really like St. Croix is because they're sponsored, that's one of our sponsors and Bassmasters, and why not use them and win some more money? So
yeah. So St. Croix makes a good rod, man.
They do. I really like their rods. I really do, and that's probably what I'll be fishing this year. St. Croix and Shimano. So who knows? Yeah. Unless somebody else comes along and says, "Hey, man," I'll be like, "Oh, okay. What's up? You got a snorkel? You got a raccoon?"
Snorkel and raccoon is all in front.
That picture you sent me a picture. It's been a while back, but you said, "Hey, I found your twin."
Yeah,
you were standing next to Keith Combs. Did I ever show you that picture? I thought that was cool,
dude. Like literally.
So my I got a Keith Combs story. My first time at the Classic, Keith Combs is walking through, and I'm passing him like, Keith, like, you got stop. One of my best friends is like your twin, and he's like, he had, I guess it was his agent or somebody. It was another guy with him. And he's like, just let's go. I'm like, no, I swear to you. He's like, whatever. And I'm like thumbing through, like. And all his like jaw drops to the floor. He's like, holy cow.
Yeah, dude. I did the same thing to him this last Classic.
Okay.
I was standing there, he's doing autographs and stuff, and I said, dude, I gotta show you this picture. And I go, I got a buddy that looks at that. So he's probably thinking, who's these two guys that keep coming up and showing me a picture of this dude?
It's weird. Like every year this happens to me from a different place.
Dude, so here I am standing, and he looks at it, his jaw just drops. He goes, just kind of looks at me. I go, yeah, that's my buddy.
Yeah.
Because, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Every time I see Keith Combs, I go, there goes Gabe.
Well, so do you remember when we were in Kentucky?
Yes, that's what I was getting.
So one of our buddies that lives.
He wasn't my buddy yet.
Well, he's my buddy. Like,
right.
I met him through fishing tournament, like all of us do. We fish as a co-angler, and then we start fishing with him more and more. Well, we were going. Were we at a regional?
We were at a regional. We were at Neely Henry.
And we were pulled into a burger joint or something to grab some supper before the meeting. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I walk in with Gabe, or maybe I rode with Rob over there. I don't remember how it worked out, but like
he was staring at me. Rob was staring at me. I didn't know Rob. I'm like, he's just like, he's staring at me. He's dog, and he's looking at me. And I'm like,
and he knows Keith.
Yeah. Like, so Keith stayed at his house whenever the elites would fish Kentucky Lake.
Okay.
Keith would stay at this guy's house, Rob's house, and he knows his wife. They've been out to dinner and lots of times and stuff. So he's looking at me. He's trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Because they had a tournament somewhere else.
Yeah, they had a tournament somewhere else. He's like, why are you here? You need to be somewhere else. And he was looking at me, and Jonathan finally told him who I was. And he came up and he told me the story. He's like, I didn't mean to be like rude. And he's like, I know you could feel me staring at you, but the reason I was staring at you is because I thought you were Keith Combs, and I was wondering why you were here and you're supposed to be somewhere else. And so I got that quite a bit for like several years.
Especially at Kentucky Lake, you got it a lot.
I did. I got it a lot.
In the bag line, and all of a sudden, like,
yeah,
who's that?
I know. And Gabe is so tall. I mean, he's as tall as Keith. I think you actually might be taller than Keith, actually. But it was just like, dude, it was so funny when I went up there when I was when I fished Sam Rayburn. I go in there and I see Keith, and I'm like, this freaking what? It's like, it's Keith Combs. I kept looking at him, it's like going, and it's probably the same deal where he's like going, why is this guy staring at me? I'm not wearing a snorkel. Why is this guy staring at me?
Raccoon back again.
He's like, why is this guy staring at me? And I'm just like going, oh, man. I told Jen, I was like, there's a dude in there. There's a dude playing a dude that's playing another dude.
So Phil's got a great question here. you struggle with the G-Man or Mr. Swindle or Gerald. So is it Frank? Is it Mr. Williams or
Snorkel Man? I think it's Snorkel Man. I mean,
oh my gosh, dude! Let's not even get that started. Oh my god.
Well, it's getting late. I mean, what's the other EMT stores we got here? I mean,
oh, dude, I've got tons of them, but they're just so bad. I mean,
yeah, you've told me some, and they're definitely not.
They're just When we all hang out, I'll tell you something. You'll seriously look at me and go, "What?" Like I did.
Go wash your hands.
I know, dude. It's oh my goodness. I've seen rubber bands put on body parts that don't need rubber band put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some stories. He's told me a few crazy stories. Yeah.
I'm just like going, just stuff that you would just go, what? Why? I remember one dude, one guy came in, this old guy came in, comes in with his walker. I'll never forget it. Comes in, he's like, coming up the counter. I'm just watching this guy, and I'm like, well, should I get this guy a wheelchair? I'm not sure what's going on. Like, oh, he doesn't fall or anything. He comes up to the counter, like puts his arm up on the counter like he just ordered a beer or something. He's like, I go, can I help you? He goes, I'm bleeding out my butt. What you gonna do about it? I go, I don't know. I don't know.
Need a Band-Aid?
I'm like,
have a seat. Here's a towel.
I'm like, dude, I used to sit there. Sometimes I was like, I literally would sit there and go, man, you can't make this stuff up. You
could write a book about this.
Dude, I think every person that's in the EMS they've got enough stories to write several books. I mean, literally my first day on the job at the hospital, I walked out and there's a guy laying on the ground, pants completely wet that OD'd, and we brought him back. And he just got up and said, well, I'm going to go home now. I said, dude, you were just like almost dead. He just after we got him back, he left, signed out. He left.
All right, like, have a good evening, sir.
That's all you can say. Bye.
Yeah.
It's literally all you can say. Okay. That's it. First day at work. Very first day.
Hey, you remember when we were kids and we were in the woods by what's now Bent Creek and back in that area?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was talking to Jonathan about this before, and I can't remember if this was actually true or not, but the Black Panther.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw it. I think I saw it, but I'm not.
All I know is we got the hell out of there.
Yes.
I remember
saw that. Something.
You saw something, and I was like, "Let's go." There was like
Maxine's cat.
Dude, there was no question. There was something back there. I'm serious. There was something. All I know is we left.
Yeah.
It was like black people in a movie. We left.
Time to go.
We was like, nope, and we gone.
Yep.
We was out, dude. I'm serious. We took off. I'll never forget that.
Do you think there's any chance it could have been a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot?
Dude, I don't know what the hell it was. I know we left. I wasn't gonna stick around and find out.
Yeah. I just remember that day, and I'm like, I was talking to him, and he said, "Is that a true story?" And I'm like, I think it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw something. I mean, I remember seeing something. So
it could have been a Sasquatch, man.
It could have been a Sasquatch.
I think it was Sasquatch. Sasquatch.
Sam Squatch.
Sasquatch with a snorkel carrying his pet raccoon.
That's when you know you got to get out of the woods. Hands down, just leave it. Whatever you're carrying, just leave it. Oh shoot, man!
People are sleeping there.
Yeah,
now they're waking up.
Yeah,
now they're waking up.
Take a little bit.
Yeah. See, we didn't even announce it. We just kind of snuck it in on the backside
at the 2:42 hour. And
yeah, we're gonna load it up too. I got a bunch of stuff from Hawgz Custom Baits. This right here is called the Swim Shaddy. This is a cool bait too.
Did you name that one?
Yeah, I actually got to name this one. It's like, check this thing out. It's like a swim bait grub hybrid.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
What size head is that on?
Well, it's just the soft plastic. So it's a 3.
Oh, okay.
It's just a 3-inch. Yeah. Yep. You can just put it on it fits like a size 3 hook. you know,
Yeah.
pretty well.
I like
A size 3/0 hook.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Did a bunch of jigs, bunch of different kind of jigs. Let's see, green pumpkin, orange. Show you some of these colors. This is more of a kind of tailored after like a Dirk's jig, real thin.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of skirt material, which is something that's going to come into play this time of year. A lot of times they like that more finessey stuff in the cold water. Some shaky heads. Gonna throw in some shaky heads.
Gotta have shakies, man.
Gotta have shaky heads, and then here's some worms to go on the old shaky heads, and got some more jigs. I got some. These are called razorbacks. They're similar to like a menace grub, but just a pumpkin colored. Got those, and then got some chartreuse. The razorbacks. These are really good on a chatterbait or a bladed jig.
Yeah.
They don't have as much resistance as.
I like those, man. I like those a lot.
Yeah.
You know what's really weird is I'm not looking at you guys, and all I hear is Frank in the background going, yeah.
Good stuff.
Dude, it's like when I swear to gosh, it's like when you go to a tackle store, it's just like you're going, yeah, oh yeah.
If our wives would just hear us, just the audio of us in tackle stores. Would you look at that? Look how big that thing is.
What's Frank doing with that raccoon?
Yeah.
Hey, smell these. What does that smell like to you?
Dude, how many times have you done that? Seriously, how many times have you bought a bag of worms and you told your wife, it was like, you got to smell these? Or
hold on. We sit down here there's tackle all over. Some days when I walk in here and we'll open one, it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. It's like a trainer.
Yep.
You just gotta keep going back to it.
Yep, exactly.
Holy cow.
Dude, I left some smelly jelly in Austin Cranford's boat. And all I told him was like, dude, I left some smelly jelly in that boat, and it's crawdad color or crawdad flavored. And he's like, okay. I said, don't open it. Like literally, don't open it. And he's like, seriously, does it smell that bad? I go, you remember your first girlfriend? He's like, yeah. I go, don't open it.
I got to open it now.
He said he opened it up and threw it away.
Oh man.
Seriously. Yeah, it was bad.
I apologize if I miss it, but I haven't seen it yet, guys. So
the number.
Chompers
will wake you up if you open up a fresh bag of chompers. Oh yeah, whatever it is, the hula grub.
And if you're sleeping on it, you try to bite a chomper off.
Oh, well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, there you go. There's the sounds again.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That and the Berkeley Maxent.
Yes.
I bit one of those. Yeah, I bit one of those before, and I was like, yeah, I won't be doing that again.
See, I haven't done that one. That one was I don't know.
How do you guys feel about the bait fuel? You like it?
I've had a couple situations where I think I was fishing a BFL at Kentucky Lake, and my boater was throwing shaky head with the bait fuel. He was actually putting it on there because they ran out and they bought a jar the night before and they split it 3 ways.
Oh
he was just putting it on there.
Like a couple crackheads.
Yeah, like a couple crackheads. They each had their own little like medicine bottle full of that stuff. He was getting a lot of light.
Jelly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I know it doesn't hurt.
Oh yeah. I like putting it on like the Maxent. I think the Maxent, I don't know if it's like a sponge. I don't know what it does, but I usually put that in there, overnight, and dude, that stuff just sucks it up. I'm just like going, good gosh.
Mm-hmm. I put it on my toast sometimes. Because if it gets on your like in your pores and stuff and leaches on your bait, you got to cover your angles.
Finally,
Phil,
Go.
Got a winner chicken dinner.
Winner chicken dinner.
I think this is Phil's first win. I'll throw in some extra goodies for you, Phil. I got to get in the boat with Phil too. We haven't been fishing and it's been a year. Almost a year. I think February we were fishing.
It's only been like 2 weeks since I've been in a boat with Uncle Ron, and I need to get back in the boat with Uncle Ron.
Those fish showed up again.
I know, but it's going to be frozen, and by the end of the week,
man, we got some nasty weather coming.
Like you guys.
Friday.
We're supposed to be two degrees here Friday.
I think it's supposed to be like -2 here. Not that it makes any difference. -2 and 2 is like.
Yeah, it's still cold.
I'm gonna keep my butt inside.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's no reason to go outside.
I'll be out there delivering all your Christmas packages.
I got a barbecue on Friday. It's gonna be like a high of 10 with a 30-mile-an-hour north wind.
You need a snorkel and a raccoon?
I'm gonna need something. Raccoon to keep my snorkel warm, maybe.
You're exactly. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. That's good stuff.
That old like Boone and Crockett hat, the raccoon.
What would you do with that raccoon?
Keep my snorkel warm. What
snorkel?
Look.
That's right. Yeah, mind your business. Ron said, "Come on, man."
That Vexus doesn't have heated seats, Ron. It's gonna be too cold.
No. We were actually talking about that last night with my buddy. He's got the VX20, and I was asking him. I was like, why doesn't Vexus have heated seats? I mean, freaking both bad as crap anyway. I'm just like going, dude, if they had heated seats in that thing, that'd just be awesome. That would.
You can bring up
one boat. I got in one boat. The only boat I've ever been in with heated seats was Phoenix, actually.
Huh. I know some guys will bring those little Mr. Buddy heaters in a small propane tank and set it in the floor, so you can just kind of get down there and warm up a little bit, and then jump back up on the deck.
So let's be perfectly honest though. How many days a year would a heated seat actually matter? Because I'd rather have an air conditioned seat.
True. Yeah.
I'd rather have air flowing up for that swamp butt than
and vice versa.
Yeah. Because typically you got enough clothes on. It's not like you're getting in your car and you got a pair of jeans on.
And usually it's your hands that get.
When you're in a boat, you got thermal pants on, you got your big pants on, you got your raincoat on or your rain suit on. You're not going to feel that heated seat.
Yeah. Dude, the hottest I fished this year was Red River. That's the first time I've ever fished before. And I told my boater, I was like, look, man, I have to sit down. Because like practice days, there was a little bit of wind. Tournament days, it was dead calm, not any wind. And it was hot. And of course we get back in some of those sloughs and it was just even hotter, dude. It was just hot. It was the hottest I've ever been. I had to sit down for like 20 minutes. I told my guys, like, man, I got to sit down. So I just have to sit down. And he was sitting there fishing and I couldn't even believe it. He's fishing in jeans and a long sleeve t-shirt. I was like, dude, you got to be hot. I'm hot. I'm like, I'm hot. You got to be extremely hot. I'm in shorts, sweating.
Sounds like my dad. My dad's my dad's blue jeans all the time.
Golly, man, I can't do it. I can't. Not when it's that hot.
I tell you what I did, and you're from this area, so you understand the swamp East Missouri that we get. I mean, it gets hot here, right?
Oh yeah.
And still, Gabe and I have talked about this at length. It's the sun shirts.
Yeah.
Cannot stand them because
really
I sweat in. I don't sweat enough in them. I dry off too fast. So what I've done is Academy has these like. What would you call this material? You got a handful of them. It's more like a cotton shirt.
Really?
And I can wear this when it's 110 out.
And still feel okay?
Oh, I feel a heck of a lot better than I ever did with a sun shirt on. Just because it holds your sweat.
Yeah.
And you're not dry. Now,
I get that. Yeah.
You reek at the end of the day, though, right? I mean,
but like a real coon ass.
Exactly. But you're not overheated. So now that's just me personally, though. I'd rather wear these in a hood than like a vintage shirt, I guess.
Well, I wear a t-shirt on underneath.
Yeah, that helps hold that.
It holds the moisture.
Holds the moisture.
Yeah. That's what I wear. I wear a t-shirt underneath too. So
yeah. So same principle there.
Hey, yeah. Phil decided to re-gift because he's got a bunch of Hawgz custom stuff already. And I can't go back up far enough to find. He said he just picked 77. Whoever had that number, the giveaway is yours. If I can't go back up, so to make it fair, we still got plenty of people on here. Guess the number again. when I say go, I'm going to write a number down. I'm just going to pick a random number.
You got one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that number right there.
I can't see. You gotta move your hand.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Okay, so we're going to go with that one. So everybody, if you want in on the giveaway, start guessing numbers.
1-200 again?
Yep, 1 through 200. Start guessing numbers, and we'll give it to whoever gets this one.
Go.
Ready, go.
Faster, guys. Come on. Somebody's got to get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and go deliver your packages.
I'm not getting up at 2.
Because all y'all guys waited till the last dang minute to buy your wife something. Frank got real quiet there, so he might be in that same boat.
No, I'm not in that same boat, man. I'm not in that same boat.
What are you fishing anything before the Bass Open start?
I am actually just whatever local stuff I can get in down here. Dude, I always thought that they had a tournament on. Sorry, I always thought they had a tournament on. Maybe I'm just too late for it. On Lake of the Ozarks, like a Christmas thing or something. I can't remember. I always thought they did, but maybe that was the Turkey Bowl or Turkey Bash or something like that.
Yeah,
they had on the Ozarks.
Well, they have the Bats and Bob Winter Series on Lake of the Ozarks, which goes throughout the winter.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever local thing I can find. If I find a tournament and I feel like driving, wherever, it's like an hour and 20 minutes or
You got Ron.
Good job, Ron.
It's an hour and 20 minutes or something like that from here to Table Rock. So, I mean, just whatever pops up, I'll jump in.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm not picky at all.
We got a winner, Ron.
Winner chicken dinner.
Winner and chicken dinner, Ron. It means I get to go fishing with Ron, so I can.
Hold on. I got something I got to take to Ron. So
okay, we can both go. He's got a VX21. So he's got plenty of storage for more tackle.
Yeah.
He's got room for 2 people.
That's right. Yeah. 2 extra people.
2 extra people.
Besides yourself.
Yeah. So we just got
that boat's bad. That boat's bad dude. Right there.
It's been my favorite boat that I've ridden in out of all the BFLs. I like a Phoenix a lot, but I like the Vexus. The storage area for the co-angler and the Vexus.
You can hide there.
Yeah, you can. If you get cold, you can just. You can take your raccoon, your little buddy heater, and get down there in the storage compartment.
And those storage compartments are really well sealed, so all you gotta do is stick your snorkel up and you can breathe.
There you go. You got a plan.
Oh shoot, man! Yeah, I love that. My buddy used to have the 21, and he's got the 20 now. That 21, dude. If I'd had the means to get it, I would have bought it. It was just, dude, I love that boat. It was just, I love the ride in it. It's just like, oh my gosh, dude, it's so smooth. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
The only downside is when you hook up with the fish and you have to go down to lip them. It's a long way down to the water.
Yeah, your feet are up. Your feet are up in the air like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're whoever's in the boat has to hold your feet so you can get all the way down there.
You gotta make sure you got your snorkel.
It's a long route, man.
Put your snorkel on.
We're going in.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We got to wrap this up. It's been almost 2 or 3 hours, man. It's been the long. I think this is the record stream.
This is the record,
which is awesome.
And there's still 45 of you loyal still on here because I'm about to fall asleep, and I know he is.
It's been fun though. I mean, I'll stay all night talking fishing, but I got to get up at 5. So,
well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it's been cool hanging out and catching up. We'll get you back on here in 4 or 5 months or something after you get your feet wet in the tournament season and touch base with you.
Yeah, I can film. You guys can film me as I'm kicking stuff off the boat. So with a snorkel gear on.
Exactly.
Fighting them raccoons off.
Next time I'm on here, I'm coming on with snorkel gear. I'm telling you.
You got to.
You got to have a pet raccoon by then too.
Just sit him on your shoulder like a parrot.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, guys. Everybody out there, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Oh, we'll see you before New Year.
Yeah, we'll see you guys
one more time
next week. And Frank, any closing thoughts? Anything, any shout outs or anything? Or
dude, I mean, just like I said, everybody I've fished with, I mean, I could go on for days about shout outs. I mean, our if I could shout out anything, our conversion tournament tackle, hopefully everything will take off and we can get everything going. But shout out to my mom and my wife and everybody and you guys especially. You know, this is my first live stream, so I'm pretty excited. I was a little nervous. I pooped myself, but that's in here.
It was good. It was good, man.
But dude, it's been great catching up. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a happy New Year, and hopefully we'll go whack a few this in 2023.
Heck yeah, man.
Sounds good.
All right. Later, everybody.
All right, we'll see ya.